I call the 2,451st meeting of the Milwaukie City Council to order. This meeting is being held in person at City Hall and by video conference. The public may participate in this meeting by coming to City Hall or joining the Zoom webinar. The meeting is being broadcast live on the city's YouTube channel and Comcast Cable Channel 30 within city limits. There will be opportunities for the public to speak during this meeting. If you would like to address council, you may come to City Hall or participate via Zoom. If you are interested in speaking, please let staff know by filling out a yellow comment card for those at City Hall or emailing ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov for those on Zoom. When it is time to take public comments, staff will monitor the comment cards, email inbox, and Zoom participant list and chat. We will take comments in the order they are received and seen. Comments may be emailed to ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov. We ask that all Zoom participants who intend to speak label their Zoom username to show their first and last names for the record. Translation services are also available in multiple languages. Please see the information on the slide for details. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The City of Milwaukie respectfully acknowledges that our community is located on the ancestral homeland of the Clackamas people. In 1855, the surviving members of the Clackamas signed the Willamette Valley Treaty, also known as the Kalapuya Etc. Treaty, with the federal government in good faith. We offer our respect and gratitude to the indigenous people of this land. Before we go to our announcements, I did want to mention the passing of two of our former counselors this spring. And they both served, well, the slides show you 2013 to 2017. Councilor Scott Churchill, I overlapped with him for a couple of years on council. He was also on the Planning Commission. He was also part of the South Downtown Planning Group that had met. And then Councilor Mike Miller. I did not serve at the same time with him on council. I did serve with him on the board of Celebrate Milwaukie, Inc., the parent organization of the Milwaukie Farmers Market. Both men really loved this community and devoted a lot of time and effort to the community. Mike was a retired school teacher. His wife worked for the city. His first wife worked for the city. And she passed away about a decade ago. Anyway, his family is holding a celebration of life at a church out in Damascus on Thursday, July 9th. And so I wanted to share that information with people in the community because I know a lot of people out there knew both Mike and Scott. It's a sad moment for Milwaukie. Okay. I'll move on to the announcements. The city is hosting a utility billing assistance workshop tomorrow from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Ledding Library. Staff will be available to answer questions and help with the application process. The second weekend of the annual curbside pickup for bulky waste items for Milwaukie residents is coming up this Saturday, June 20th. Please be sure to check the city website to find out if your address is serviced on that day before putting out items for pickup. Come out to celebrate Black and African American liberty and the contributions of those communities to the nation at the annual Juneteenth celebration this Saturday, June 20th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Scott Park. I was on a Zoom call today with some other mayors and a few other elected officials, and one of them called out how the summer events, whether they're the concerts, whether they're Juneteenth, Pride, how coming out and gathering with your community can be a real stress reliever and can be a good thing to do to fight back the anxieties that a lot of people have at this weird moment in our history and our culture. And I thought that was a good message to pass on. I think coming out for Juneteenth, coming out next month for Milwaukie Fest, which we're going to talk about a little bit more later, and Pride events. I think it's a great way to come out and connect with your community and take some comfort from the sense of community that we have in Milwaukie.
Mayor Beatty,
Yeah.
while we're talking about Juneteenth, if I might just note, I noticed it's not in the script. City offices will be closed on Friday in observance of Juneteenth. And I believe that includes the library. Yeah.
Yeah.
City Hall and the library will be closed. Police will be doing their thing as usual.
Okay. Thank you. Good reminder. On Wednesday, June 24th, a week from tomorrow, the NCPRD board will hold its next meeting at the Concord Center. They meet quarterly at the Concord Center. At this meeting, we do anticipate that they will be making a decision on the intergovernmental agreements that we sent to them back in April. We may talk about this more during council reports at the end of this meeting, but I just wanted to put it out there as an announcement to make sure people knew about this meeting at the Concord Center, which is very nearby. You don't have to schlep all the way to Oregon City like you sometimes do to talk to the county commission. It would be great to see a lot of people show up at this meeting to let them know how much you would like to see Milwaukie Bay Park completed. Okay. Our city manager, Emma Sagor, will host an open door session on Friday, June 26th from 9 to 10 a.m. at City Hall. Stop by to ask questions, raise concerns, or just find out more about what the city is currently doing. Join visiting educator and art and dress historian Wafa Ghanem for a lecture on regional distinctions in Palestinian dress on Saturday, June 27th from 1 to 2 p.m. This event takes place at the Ledding Library. Bloodworks Northwest and the Ledding Library invite you to save lives by donating blood on Wednesday, July 1st from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Find the link to schedule an appointment on the city's web calendar. For more information about each of these events, please visit the city's homepage at milwaukieoregon.gov or call 503-786-7555. And then today's haiku is from resident Stephen Lashbrook. He wrote this and submitted it last fall or over the winter. As some people may know, he's having some health challenges now, so we send out our best thoughts to Stephen. I know he's actually out camping at the moment, so he won't be seeing us tonight, but Stephen's haiku. 60 is not young until you are 70. 80 seems scary. And we're also going to be talking about the Leadership Academy a little later, which Stephen is a big part of. So we're thinking about you, Stephen. Okay, that brings us to our sole proclamation tonight, one for America's 250th anniversary and introduced by Councilor Massey.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to read one sentence from the Declaration of Independence because it was one that I think says so much in so few words. And it's, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There was a committee that was established by the Continental Congress that appointed a handful of people to draft the Declaration of Independence. And I think the Declaration of Independence has certainly stood the test of time. And it's a solemn piece, but it's not overwritten. It's I think, one of those things that we all want to achieve by saying a lot with very little. And I think the Declaration of Independence is a great example of that. And so that has not only inspired many of us in this country, but it's inspired people around the world. You know, some would say it was the impetus for the start of the French Revolution, you know. And interestingly enough, I usually, during the summer months, I'm usually just pick up some light reading, like a crime novel or a police procedural. But I ran across this one, and I picked it up. It's called The Living Declaration, a biography of America's founding text. It's written by a historian, and it brings together 68 historical texts that were written by people that draw on the Declaration of Independence. And it's not all who you think it would be. I mean, it has the usual John Adams and Samuel Adams and John Quincy Adams and Daniel Webster's, but it also has Mark Twain. It also has Frederick Douglass. It also has the National Women's Suffrage Association. It also has Eugene Debs. It also has H.L. Mencken. It has Ho Chi Minh. Okay, and I've got the Declaration of Independence that Ho Chi Minh wrote in 1945 in here, and it's pretty remarkable because it lifts sections of our Declaration of Independence word for word, because it inspired a lot of people who had common ideas and that kind of thing, and it just it continues to have such a big impact about freedom-loving people and that kind of thing. So I think it's just so great, and I'm going to get myself smart. I'm going to put away the police procedural for this summer and tackle this one. I'm only through the opening, the prologue. so I've got a scholarly treatise to get through this summer. So I'll begin the proclamation. Whereas local governments are the bedrock of American democracy, providing 336 million residents with the most accountable, responsive, inclusive, ethical, and transparent government of the world. And whereas from the nation's smallest villages to the largest cities, America's local governments have been essential in transforming the United States of America into the greatest, most influential nation in world history. And whereas the city of Milwaukie was first incorporated in 1903 and is proudly served today by an elected city council and a municipal workforce of 163 dedicated public service.
Now, therefore, I, Lisa Beatty, Mayor of the City of Milwaukie, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas in the state of Oregon, do hereby proclaim that the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence is recognized as an opportunity to educate, preserve, and innovate during this milestone anniversary. Well, thank you for putting that forward, Councilor Massey. Milwaukie has not traditionally had a 4th of July event. But it does feel weird to me that we don't have one this year. And I know, staff have a lot of energy invested in the following weekend in the Milwaukie Fest. But if anybody out there wants to do a pop-up kind of 4th of July event, reach out to me. Because I'd be interested in trying to pull something together. It looked like the city manager wanted to, no, okay.
Getting ready for the next one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Nice try.
Okay, so next is community comments. We don't have another proclamation, right? No. Council will now hear community comments on city business topics that are not on the agenda. Before we begin, is there a follow-up from the June 2nd comments, Ms. Sagor?
This is what I was getting ready for,
Okay.
Mayor. Yes, there is a little bit of follow-up. I'm going to ask Scott to bring up some pictures. We had a few comments provided at the last meeting, including one from Mr. Harrison, who provided testimony regarding a tree removal at a property in his neighborhood. I really appreciated his testimony and really felt deep empathy for how he spoke about the flowering dogwood that was removed from this neighboring property. He had said at that meeting that he had hoped he could show some images, and so he provided those images via email, and out of respect for him, I'd like to show you those images, since he didn't get a chance last week. So this is that beautiful flowering dogwood, and then if you go to the next picture, Scott. I think this is what it looked like when Mr. Harrison came to testify to us. So Mr. Harrison was expressing, his concern about these tree removals in the name of development. I wanted to provide just a little bit of additional information and context for council. And And just so you know, our urban forest staff have reached out to Mr. Harrison to answer any additional questions he may have. So this tree and 3 others on the property were removed as part of a middle housing land division at 3506 Southeast Olson Street. That development's being built by Shaw Homes LLC. All code stipulations were met. So Shaw Developments or Shaw Homes submitted appropriate permit documentation for the removal of those 4 trees. Received a permit. We did the arborist review and report. $30,000 of tree removal fees were assigned and paid for this development. The on-site canopy coverage was reduced by 15%, and so a mitigation fee was required to meet the 40% preservation standard, and 7 trees will be planted to meet the canopy coverage requirements. I just, out of respect for Mr. Harrison, did want to show the images and let you know that this case, our code was followed.
Thank you.
Can I ask, did any of these trees have a large enough width that they fell subject to the higher fee that we just implemented, or were they all below that?
I believe they were all below that. I will have to double check that, Peter. I think they were all below.
Okay, thank you.
And the other comments that we received at the last meeting were related to swimming access at Milwaukie Bay Park and kind of advocacy for a swimming dock. No real update there, just I heard council's direction to at our next Parks and Green Space and Milwaukie Bay Park conversation to put together a little bit more information for you on cost, timeline, impacts, those kinds of things, but to not delay or derail progress on the Milwaukie Bay Park project. So we'll be having a little bit more internal conversation, reaching out to those advocates when the time is right for a further conversation. Then I'll share more when it's available.
Okay, thank you. We have some folks in the room. I think you're here for an item on the agenda later or for general community comment? Okay. So I don't think, do we have any people online wanting to testify?
We do have a Zoom audience, but they haven't raised their hand.
Okay, so I feel like I can forego the rest of the script there and move on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes minutes of the City Council May 12th, 2026 study session, a resolution making the following appointments to the Public Safety Advisory Committee: Trevor Adams, representing the Lake Road NDA, Andy Fisher, representing the Historic Milwaukie NDA, Julie King, representing the Island Station NDA, Cheryl Wampler, representing the Ardenwall Johnson Creek NDA, and Shimron Tubman, representing the Linwood NDA. A resolution adopting a land banking strategy. A resolution acting as the local contract review board, authorizing a contract for the on-call water well and pump station repair and maintenance services. A resolution authorizing the reassignment of the Milwaukie Station food cart pod management agreement to Ann Craig. Does any council member wish to remove a consent agenda item?
I don't wish to remove something, but I just wanted to let you know I plan to recuse myself for appointing my partner to the PSAC board, and though I don't stand to financially benefit from it, I want to avoid the appearance of a conflict.
Appreciate that. Should we vote on the other things and vote on that separately?
It's perhaps up to Council President Anderson. He could abstain from the entire consent agenda if you'd like to do that. Or, as has been done before, he could remove that item and you guys could vote on it separately. But either
I'm
way,
happy to abstain from the whole thing. Save us the trouble.
Okay. Okay. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as revised.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as revised. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. And 1 abstention. So 4 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention. Thank you. All right. Milwaukie Leadership Academy. Invite up our events and volunteer coordinator, Dan Harris. Your partner in crime, Mr. Lashbrook, is out camping. I know.
I was unable to be with us this evening there, but we'll see him again.
Oh.
I have very little doubt that that Blackbrook will be back in front of this council sooner or later. Thanks, Scott. Oh, do I get the, are we doing it? Yeah, okay, cool. We'll probably just start. Do I need to push it?
Good. Right there. Lock it, bop it. Yeah, that's good. All right, so with that, good evening, Mayor Beatty, Council. Thank you all so much for having me back with you again. My name is Dan Harris. I am your events and volunteer coordinator, and I'm here tonight to talk about the Milwaukie Leadership Academy and a whole slew of events that we have coming up between now and the end of the summer. So pretty excited about that. But we'll just pump the brakes because we're gonna get there. Thank you, Scott. All right, so Milwaukie Leadership Academy. This is, I wrote cycle 6. I believe this is the 6th time through. It may be the 7th. Who can say? It was held, it is currently still ongoing. The last session is tomorrow evening. So it will have been held on the 3rd Wednesday of each month from September 2025 through to June of 2026. For just a little bit of background, the Milwaukie Leadership Academy was instituted by an earlier iteration of this council at the suggestion of our previous city manager, Ann Ober, and Steph Lashbrook, who we were discussing a little bit just immediately before this presentation. And the idea is that the city does a ton of good work, and people oftentimes don't understand how their local government works, what engineering is and what that has to do with traffic. What is our police department up to? How does the city budget? These are all the kinds of questions that are answered in the Milwaukie Leadership Academy. So every year we begin recruitment in usually in August. Occasionally we've gotten it out the door in late July, but generally we don't really see a pickup in registration until mid-August, late August, regardless of when we started. And this recruitment goes out through the pilot, through social media, through various other fairly standard channels. We've experimented in the past with reaching out through the high school, specifically trying to recruit some younger members. We have tried reaching out through various like backpack send homes through the North Clackamas School District. I, at one point, did some tabling over at the Milwaukie Community Center. And generally what we find is that every year we get somewhere between 25 and 30 people who are interested in coming and learning more about how their government works. So like I said, these classes are in the evenings on those Wednesdays. We generally start at about 5:45 and continue on until 8 p.m. There is no cost to participate. We have an application, but I believe we've formally renamed that to a registration form at this point. I don't think that we've ever turned anybody away based on their application. Historically, we've kept it capped at 25 starting participants, but every year we get, like I said, somewhere between 25 and 30 people who'd like to be a part of it. So this year we tried something different and just let it get up to 34. 34 is a little bit unwieldy. We're just based on the space that we have available. So I think likely next year we'll cap it at 30. Regardless, we every year get down to about 20 people by the end of the year who are attending a majority of the classes or who have attended a majority of the classes. Life is busy. People are busy. We understand there's no penalty for dropping out. There's no cost to be involved. So sometimes people make the decision, hey, I would like to do something else with my evenings. Perfectly reasonable. In the class, we receive presentations from various city departments. Generally, this is going to be a director or manager. There have been occasions where line staff have presented on one particular topic or another. Many of our board and committee members, including at least one member of this council, there it is, are graduates of the Milwaukie Leadership Academy. This year, I'm proud to say that we had one of our classmates appointed to the Equity Steering Committee
while she was going through the class, which fantastic. Overall, the notion here is that we're going to demystify local government and we're going to give community members the knowledge that they need and the information that they need to know where they can get involved and to encourage them to do so and to help them feel confident enough to do so. And I think on that metric, it is an absolute success. Certainly, we can continue to encourage applications. We can continue to encourage different ways of participating. Not everybody who applies to a border committee is going to be appointed to a border committee. But there are, as I always tell the class, and I'm sure they're probably tired of hearing this, it matters who shows up. And there are a lot of different ways to show up. But when decisions are being made, there's going to be somebody in the room. And it could be you. Of course, everybody at this dais understands that. But I think there's something really special and frankly kind of beautiful about the notion that people would take time out of their evenings because they are interested in how their government functions and maybe being a part of that. And so for that, I am very glad to tell you that the plan right now, at least, is to continue on next year and to keep the academy going. I will say that my not co-conspirator, that sounds ominous. My colleague, Mr. Lashbrook, is well, I think if he were here, what he would say is what he's asked me to tell everyone, which is for those of us who are vulnerable to prostate cancer, get screened and get screened early. We're expecting him to be back with us in the fall. With that, recruitment is slated to begin in August. MilwaukeeOregon.gov/academy is where you can find the Milwaukie Leadership Academy page. And right now there is not a registration option because we've wrapped for this session. But like I said, in about a month and a half, we'll get that back up. That'll be advertised in the pilot. That'll be advertised in all of the normal places. And I'm sure that it will make it to council announcements as well. I do have the events section of this, but do we want to maybe pause for questions, comments, concerns?
Any questions about the Leadership Academy or anything you want to comment on? Looks like the council president.
I was just going to say, I love the Milwaukie Leadership Academy. I think you run a great program. I am sad to, I hope that Stephen is able to jump in this session. It will be very different without him. And I'm just grateful for all the work that you all are doing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I normally say this in the last class, and because of who Steph is as a person, he'll say, "Oh no, that's my Steph. Oh no." But I mean, the fact is, it would be a very different program without his input, without his guidance, without the lifetime of experience in public service that the man brings to any room that he enters. So as I said, my understanding based on my conversations with him is that he'll be rejoining us in the fall, and I'm excited for that. Who wants to talk events? Woo! Events. All right, Milwaukie Juneteenth is coming up this weekend. This council has continued to support the existence of these community-led events, which are partially funded through the city's budget and partially funded by private sponsors, donors, and just the community. These are organized specifically by community members. Milwaukie Juneteenth will be coming up this Saturday at 11 a.m. in Scott Park, just behind the library. For both of these, expect food, expect music, expect cultural presentations. Come out and celebrate. The big thing that people ask me sometimes, what is it that I do for a living? And I say, I throw parties that I make sure the whole town knows they're invited to. Mm-hmm. So with these in particular, there are, specifically Black Black and African Americans and members of the LGBTQ plus community being celebrated, but absolutely everybody is welcome. People of all ages and stripes should come out and join us. Milwaukie Fest 2.0. I was trying to get it called the Regoosening, and for various professional reasons, we're not going to do that. But we are going to stick to the 3 Fs, food, fun, and jazzercise. That F is silent. July 11th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We are going to be shutting down 5 blocks of downtown streets. And what that's going to look like this year, last year we tried to do kind of a linear thing, stretching straight down Main from Monroe from Jackson to the bottom of the plaza, effectively the post office below Washington. What happened though is that while our partners at Stronger Skate Park came in and delivered exactly what I asked them to, which was an open air skate park, the day got up to 104 degrees, and it turns out that most people do not want to operate a skateboard on unshaded blacktop in 104 degree temperatures. So we ended up with a big dead zone in the middle of our event. And this year, to avoid that, and also to avoid the traffic complications that come when we close the plaza, we're going to be closing Main from Jackson down to Washington. We're also going to be closing Jefferson from 99 over to 21st. So it's kind of a sort of an inverted T is what we're looking at. Now with this, we're bringing in a professional quality stage, which is going to be set up that morning starting at about 6:15. Good morning, good morning. We are going to have a number of really fantastic performers from both Milwaukie locally, including the Beaumont Roses, and also just from around the region. Western Supply Company is going to be there. We're going to lead the day off with our final F, jazzercise. Have we taken that joke far enough? We've taken that joke far enough. We're going to start the day off with jazzercise. And that was kind of an unexpected, slam last year. People loved it. And I thought it was going to be good. But that was one of the things that we got the most feedback on, which is why when I reached out to Erica at Milwaukie Jazzercise, she said, yeah, of course we would love to come back. So starting at 10 a.m. on July 11th, free jazzercise class right at the corner of Main and Jefferson. We're going to be bringing in some additional food vendors this year, even as we continue to see businesses open up all up and down Main Street. We are still aware that one of the major pieces of feedback we got last year was, hey, where can you get a bite to eat around here? The restaurants were full, which is fantastic. That tells me that we're doing part of our job at least, which is drawing people in to our downtown core. But we do want to make sure, given that we're expecting about 3,000 people throughout the course of the day, that we have enough to go around. We're also going to be bringing in 3 or 4, still waiting to finalize one of those agreements, but 3 or 4 different frozen treat vendors, including Milwaukee's own Luna's ice cream. And we expect those to be available throughout the day. Last year, they couldn't keep stocked. People were too excited to be cooling down. We're also going to be bringing in some additional misters this year. We'll have our water stations around. We will have our standard medical tent with shade and a cooling area. So we're trying to look at this from a variety of different angles. This year, with the partnership that we have with Frame Family Brewers, we're also going to be operating what I believe is the largest beer garden in the history of downtown. I know that there has been quite a bit of discussion here in this room about open containers and the rest of it. Working with the Milwaukie Police Department, working with OLCC, we're getting permission to take that bottom 4 blocks, so Jefferson from 99 to 21st, and then Main from Monroe down to Washington, and turn that into effectively a large beer garden, which we're bringing in some additional security. MPD is not unduly concerned by this. Frankly, last year we had a wrestling match, and we didn't see the crowd didn't get too rowdy. So I don't think this fine collection of Western swing, Latin jazz, and just some real good homespun bluegrass is going to be likely to cause too much of a stir. Gosh, I know I'm forgetting things. Oh, children's area. We're going to have a children's area, which I just today finished contracting. We had a performer drop, unfortunately, so we needed to bring in a backup. But we're going to have a full slate of children's performers. We're going to have activities for them throughout the day. We're bringing in some giant lawn games, sidewalk chalk, etc. Gosh, I'm sure there are other things. Oh, also we took the feedback on the t-shirts, so it will be possible not to purchase an event staff t-shirt this year for fairly obvious reasons. We don't want everybody running around with a shirt that says event staff on it, but one very similar to the now iconic Milwaukie Fest t-shirt. Those of you who have not seen the, what I'm calling Pit Viper Millie, big wraparound sunglasses, there are now banners hanging on the north and south ends of this building demonstrating, so said, sunglassed goose. July 11th, 10 to 5, be there. That whole weekend though, so when this event was originally developed, the vision for it was that it would be a weekend-long celebration. And we're keeping that going. We have worked with a number of different community partners to activate, to make sure that there are activities all throughout the weekend. So the annual Keeper versus Freem softball game is going to kick us off on July 10th. That's Saturday evening from 4 to 7 p.m. at Scavone Stadium, which is unfortunately just outside of town. But my goodness, you might be surprised how hard it is to find a great big softball diamond, even given how many great big softball diamonds there are in this town. So we're going to be taking that on the road to Scavone Stadium with the hopes of bringing it back home next year. On July 11th, we're going to see the day start out with the Milwaukie Mile, organized by our own planning commissioner, Mr. Nick Hess. This is going to be the, I think, third year of the Milwaukie Mile being run. That's going to be on the trolley trail starting at 9 a.m. The North Clackamas Watersheds Council is going to be, along with the city and I believe Tualatin River Keepers, are going to be hosting a cleanup of the Kellogg Creek area around Kronberg Park the morning of the 11th from 9:30 to noon. And then we're also at 1 o'clock going to keep that fun going with the annual North Clackamas Watersheds Council and Milwaukie Parks Foundation duck race over Kellogg Dam, or through Kellogg Dam. I'm not sure exactly how we would qualify that. After parties, oh, there will be after parties. I have heard about some live music being played in various places downtown all throughout the evening from 5 p.m. until ? But the thing to know is that by Sunday morning, all of the big tents, the stage, much of that will be put away, which is fantastic because the farmers market is hosting their Children's Day on Sunday, the 12th. That's going to be, of course, in the farmers market lot across from Historic City Hall, currently the home of Keeper, Freem, Cirxus, and some really curious crows. That night, on the evening of July 12th, we're going to see a celebration of dance at the Chapel Theater. This is an event, I should point out, that is partially funded by the Milwaukie Community Events Fund, another of the various good works approved by this council. The Equity Steering Committee reviewed that application at its meeting in March of this year and decided to support it. So indirectly, thank you all for your continued support of arts and culture in Milwaukie. Milwaukie Fest sponsors, where would we be without the people who make it happen? So we have brought in some outside sponsors this year: Hoodview, Disposal and Recycling, the Stein Family Funeral Homes, and then Woofies, which is a dog care service, are all coming in. These others are in one way or another in-kind sponsorships, which does not make them any less valuable. The crew at Made in Milwaukie has been the absolute heart and soul of my planning team. Well, my planning team is the heart and soul of my planning team. I would be entirely remiss if I did not offer thanks to, we see here pictured, Tyler King, Rosie Herboth, Sierra Cook, who actually this year deputized Bonnie Ingersoll from Spoken Word to represent Spoken Word on the planning committee. Also, of course, from Made in Milwaukie and thereabouts, Teresa Garber, Chris Haberman, and Rob Campbell. This group of people is now going strong into the second year of helping me to figure out how to make this an authentically Milwaukie celebration, and I'm grateful to them all. We'll just roll right on to the next one. Now, for anybody hearing this, this is my literal call for volunteers. We do still need some additional hands to make this happen. If you are interested in volunteering, if anyone seeing this is interested in volunteering, they are more than welcome to visit milwaukeeoregon.gov/MilwaukeeFest or hold their phone's camera up to that QR code right now. Either of those things will get you connected with the volunteer registration page. Now, that's a lot about Milwaukee Fest. We're gonna wrap this up by talking about the Dogwood Dash, unless we wanna talk Milwaukee Fest for a minute first.
Well, I just wanted to mention that I know at least 2 businesses are having their ribbon cuttings on the day of Milwaukee
yes.
Fest, and maybe more, because we have a lot of new businesses opening up this summer. So another piece of the Milwaukee Fest pie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something that I've been, thank you very much for that reminder, Mayor Beatty. Something that I've been, just tickled by is the way that people have really jumped on this notion of it is our celebration. This is our Milwaukee Fest. And there were those who were skeptical about whether we would be able to bring back a good summer celebration. I know that there is a long and proud legacy of Milwaukee Days, Milwaukee Festival Days. It went by various names in the past. Milwaukee Fest is its own thing, but it is a thing, and it is something that has been well received by our community, and I think it's something that is that has proven and it will continue to prove to be a good investment of resources. Hey, speaking of resources, how about a charity 5K? So Sandra Adams, who works over in our police department, had come to me in September of last year. Sandra is a runner and had this idea that maybe Milwaukee should have its own run. And so this is something that we have been developing. The idea is that it will be a largely self-supporting event once it gets going. We've moved a little bit of startup capital around in the event's budget. Not very much, frankly, because it doesn't cost all that much to get a race off the ground. Whatever proceeds this race generates are going to be donated to the Corporal Diffie Veterans Fund and Love One, 2 groups that are both doing fantastic work here in the Milwaukee community. Now, the long-term future of this race, what this looks like a year from now, 5 years from now, we are still sort of figuring that out. Milwaukee's a beautiful town, and if you go to run a 5K, we pretty quickly either run into needing traffic control or just basically it's there's a lot happening here, and we need to work around and through it if we're going to get outside of North Clackamas Park. Happily, there's no reason right now to go outside of North Clackamas Park. We've been able to map out a 5K cross-country route, a combination of pavement and dirt trails. This race is rain or shine. We will have medical staff on hand. There are heats for various gender identities and age groups. All runners are going to receive a race t-shirt and medal, and there will be prizes awarded to top finishers. We're only expecting about 250 registrants on this first year. Early bird registration will be opening up in the next couple of days, actually. They're finishing the website right now for us, and expect to see that advertised more widely in the July pilot. Early bird registration will continue through the end of July. So with that, I have been your events and volunteer coordinator. And thank you all so much for having me. Are there any questions?
I don't know about questions. Maybe there are. I would just want to comment that one you didn't mention that I realized why you didn't mention it because it's not it doesn't fall in your lap, but is Porch Fest.
Yes, yeah.
So Porch Fest is coming back the last three. Our arts committee puts on Porch Fest, which is coming back the last 3 Fridays in July. They have quite a number of acts signed up, but I think you can still sign up until July 1st. Whether you are an act that's looking for a place to play or you're a potential host with a porch or a yard or a driveway where you would like to host an act. So go to MilwaukeePorchFest.com if you would like to get in on the Porch Fest fun.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I just had a question. Thank you, actually. This sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. But I remember the last First Friday, there was a dunk tank at Made in Milwaukie. Do we know if that's coming back?
So, Counselor, I'll tell you, I'm just going to say insurance reasons, I'm not aware of any dunk tank. No, I mean, the honest answer is that I don't think that we're going to be bringing a dunk tank to Milwaukie Fest specifically. What private entities do on private property during their private time, I have less control over that. But it is one of those things where when we start getting water and projectiles together, our risk management team has some thoughts.
Well, if it does come back, I'm hoping our wonderful mayor will participate.
I will let you know that I did, I'm a fan of the dunk tank. I did participate in 2015 when the Orange Line opened. There was a dunk tank down by sort of by the post office, by the South Downtown Plaza. Former Mayor Mark Gamba, I have an excellent photo. I caught it at the right moment where his hands are up and he's fallen into the water. And I also sat in the dunk tank. So if you can cross the liability hurdles, I'm there.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor Beatty. I will say I've got some early stage ideas for some water events for next year. So I cannot guarantee one way or the other on the dunk tank for this year, but I think look, we've got a mandate now. So.
And I will note that they also used to do there used to be an event that hasn't happened for the last few years called the 9K for K9 that was put on to support the police department's K9 unit. And they often had a dunk tank that the police chief got in over in the parking lot of Milwaukie Marketplace. So Milwaukie does have a history of dunk tanks at our events.
I hear you loud and clear, Mayor. Thank you very much.
So, Mayor, I cannot promise a dunk tank, but, and maybe I was the only person who liked it last year, but I was particularly fond of the mascot dance-off. And so we are talking with our friends at Freeman Keeper about doing some kind of mascot competition at the softball game, maybe a 7th inning stretch type thing. But, that might not take the form of a dance-off. And if anyone on council would like to volunteer to participate in a dance-off, Dan and I would love to talk.
We could make that happen. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants to see that.
Yeah, yeah.
Agree to disagree.
Exactly. I think the audience enjoyment would be higher in a dunk tank. But
I'll dunk tank. Got
dunk
it.
Tank. Yeah. Any other questions or suggestions for Dan? No?
Justin, I thought you were raising your hand. Scott, can we have the record reflect the city attorney says, great, that's noted, yes, thanks.
Well, thank you. You come to us always with good news, feel good things. So unlike, some of your colleagues don't always come here with the most feel good things, but thank you. We always know we're going to get feel-good things when you come to us. So.
Well, thank you very much. It truly, this is, this year is 7 years with the city of Milwaukie. This month actually is 7 years with the city of Milwaukie, and about 5 years in this role. And I didn't know that I was going to grow up to do this, but I still might someday. And I'm looking forward to that. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now we have a public hearing. We have a series of public hearings. Well, the first one is an objection to abatement costs at 5992 Southeast Monroe. The public hearing on the protest of abatement costs of the property located at 5992 Southeast Monroe Street is called to order. The purpose of this hearing is to hear the staff report, take public comment, and decide to uphold the costs associated with the abatement. Does any council member wish to announce actual or potential conflicts of interest? Seeing none, does any council member wish to announce any actual or potential ex parte contacts? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to our code compliance coordinator, Tim Salyers.
Thank you, Mayor Beatty. Good evening, Mayor Beatty and City Council. I am Tim Salyers, Code Compliance Coordinator. You've been given the staff report, a brief history. Code Compliance conducted an abatement at 5992 Southeast Monroe Street. Code Compliance followed all code requirements for that abatement. An abatement cost recovery notice was sent, and the property owner submitted a notice of objection, which is why we're here. Action requested is council is asked to open the public hearing on the notice of objection to the abatement cost, take public testimony, and decide whether to uphold the costs associated with the abatement. The objection included one of the contentions on the objection was on-site abatement only took 5 hours. Time charged does not reflect time spent. Specifically, my time was called out in the objection, and where we were on site for 5 hours, but there was 5 hours charged for coordination related to hiring a contractor, working with the PD, working with the tow company, working with the contractor for the 1-800-GOT-JUNK. So there's a lot of coordinating that goes on with that. That's also charged as part of that time. 5 hours was probably very generous, and there's a lot more hours that goes into it. The other part of the objection was there was 2 police officers there for a total of 9.5 hours. The part of the time that was there was related to the on-site, was charged for the on-site, and then one and a half hours was part of the coordination related to briefing and then debrief also as well. In addition to those objections, there was also an objection in the notice of objection that 1-800-GOT-JUNK only had 2 1/4 truckloads there and removed 2 1/4 truckloads. There were 4 1/4 truckloads, and there were 5 different truck tonnage or whatever weights provided by the contractor. We were also on site for 5 hours. I know that there was 5 trucks, 4 1/4 total was charged. The normal rate for 1-800-GOT-JUNK is $898 for a full truckload. We got a reduced rate of $625, and then the quarter truck had a reduced rate, not quite a quarter, but a quarter reduced rate. So with that being said, decision tonight is for you to decide to uphold the costs associated with the abatement, or council may modify the amount of costs assessed, thereby reducing the amount recoverable by the city.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Salyers? Go ahead.
Can you clarify, in the abatement notice or the cost summary that you sent to the property that was abated, it says Milwaukie police officer 2 and then overtime. Were they billed at an overtime rate for the police officer's time, or were they billed at a normal hourly rate? Or can you explain why that is?
Yeah, those two officers were on overtime because the rest of the staffing needed to concentrate on regular police duties. So the operations captain decided to have an overtime, 2 officers on overtime instead of having the regular shift work this detail. But they need to be, the regular shift workers needed to be able to operate the city in safety that we normally would operate. This is a common thing when a warrant is served that overtime is done.
Okay, and that is time and a half pay for overtime? Or?
Yeah, it's in the fee schedule. There's a calculation that I don't know off the top of my head, but it's for hourly wages, it's the step 4 and then there's an additional, I think, 1.25 times the rate. I don't know. It's in the fee schedule. I'm sorry. But that's what was calculated and that's what the figure is.
And this is something we've applied to other abatement or code compliance or kind of extra work that we assign on to our police officers? You're saying this is standard practice?
Yeah, standard is in the sense of abatement costs. When people are on scene to do abatements, the hours are accordingly passed on to the property owner. We don't do a lot of abatements. And there's sometimes where a police officer doesn't have to be involved in an abatement. This was a safety issue. This was something that the officers were there for.
Or I should clarify, the overtime provision at least, or charging overtime hours as opposed to regular hours, that's a standard procedure you're saying?
For abatements or
We need
warrants?
to maintain adequate staffing for our on-call, or our PD who are on their shift. And so, yes, the decision of the police chief or the captain to authorize overtime would be consistent with our practice for covering this type of work.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a question on the rates for the weight. Is that based on the weight, those rates, the 625 or however much that was for per truckload? Is that based on the weight or is that just based on, how do they determine that?
That's a proprietary thing. It's with the way that most junk haulers charge by the truckload.
Yeah.
And weight doesn't have anything to do with it. A large futon couch can take up a lot of room in a box, but a lot of plywood might take up less, but it weighs more, right?
So it's just based on-
it's a per truckload.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Regardless of the weight,
Right.
the cost is a truckload.
Thank you.
So we had correspondence from the property owner in the packet. Have we received any other correspondence on this matter?
No, we have not.
We have not, okay. Okay, if no other questions for Tim, I will open it up for comment by does anyone else wish to comment on the abatement costs protest? The council will now take public testimony on the abatement costs protest. I will recognize speakers and any questions should be addressed through me. When you begin to speak, state your name and city of residence for the record. For those who wish to testify, you may submit written comments by email to ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov. Staff will read those comments out loud. For those who wish to testify orally in Zoom or at City Hall, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Presentation times for all speakers will be limited. Representatives of groups will be limited to 10 minutes. Individuals will be limited to 3 minutes. Please confine your remarks to the proposed action. So, does somebody want to testify? Yep. Yep. Please come forward. Right. So typically you each get 3 minutes if you all three want to testify, or if only one of you wants to testify, one person can have the full 9 minutes, however you want to handle that. So please come up to the table, turn on the microphone, introduce yourself, whoever's going to do the testimony. Yeah. So hit the button so the little red light comes on. That means the microphone picks you up.
So it's
Thank
working?
you. Yep.
My name is Barrett Owen Swanson. I live at 5992 Southeast Monroe Street where the abatement was taking place. So this is about the costs and whatnot. I'd like his question when he was asking about the just the overtime pay. I just don't understand that when it says 9.5. It was served at 7:30 in the morning and on a Thursday. And then they stopped it like at noon. So I don't understand how that's overtime pay. It wasn't on weekend. It wasn't something that was, forced. I mean, they had 30 days to do this. I mean, they could have done it at any time. I mean, they were getting, within like the next, probably a week and a half, it would have gone past the 30 days. So, I mean, they still have plenty of time to schedule this. Why do they have to schedule this during an overtime pay? I just don't understand that. And another thing I really don't understand is why he didn't come talk to us and let us know what he wanted done. Because there's no direction on this thing at all whatsoever when it comes to like what we need to take care of. I mean, there wasn't really much there to even tow away. I mean, I don't even understand how it took 4 trucks and a quarter load to remove everything that was there that he wanted to get, he thought that was bad and wanted to get rid of. And the weights of the trucks were 1,100 pounds, 1,300 pounds, and the last two were 1,560 exactly. The quarter load was at 560. So I don't understand, 560 pounds is a quarter load when a full load is 1,100. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, when you go to the dump and you go dump your stuff, they charge you by the pounds. They don't charge you by the actual load itself. And then if that was the case, they should have been able to load everything we had easily within like a truck and a half. It just bothers me. She actually has pictures. When they did the abatement, we did a public records request and asked for the pictures that he had taken that day, him and his assistant. I just don't see the things that they hauled away would have taken up that much space in a truck. Especially if you look at their ad on YouTube, I mean, they cram so much stuff in those trucks, it's crazy.
No one was present and saw how many trucks came?
As far as I know, I know there was 2 trucks that showed up. And when we went back out front, because we threw some stuff away from out of the garage, we were talking to the employees, and we saw the exercise bike sitting in the truck that was closest to the door, and they were loading up the tires, which would have been the quarter load that they marked down. So that should have been the last truck, but we saw the exercise bike sitting in the truck itself that was sitting next to that one. So I don't know how they got 4 trucks. I mean, it should have been 1, 2, 3. And the employee basically said, yeah, he's like, that's the 3rd truck. We just brought that one up. He's all, there was like a partial load in the first one we brought up. And then the second load, he was like, that's the 2nd truck. And then that's the 3rd one. And we're grabbing the tires and we're leaving. He's all, the city's not paying for this? And I was like, well, no, we're paying for it. So it was just kind of a weird conversation. But yeah.
So the issue before us today is the payment. Is the costs. It's not sort of other things raised in your. No, I understand.
So-
I'm not sure if your photos illustrate the cost, but if you have photos and we can figure out a way to put them on the screen, we can try that.
Yeah, I mean, just
Yeah.
just plug this into the screen and.
I mean, do they go to showing how much was hauled off?
Well, it goes to show like what was actually in the driveway. We have basically the pictures that I selected in here kind of show what the driveway looks like when they showed up. And there wasn't really much on the driveway. There wasn't really much on the side of the house. Like I said, there's not much they really took.
Are you able to email those photos to us?
Yeah, I can.
If you email it, I can work on trying to get them. But did you also say that those were requested from the city?
Yeah.
So the city has those photos already?
Yeah.
Do we have them somewhere where I can pull them from?
You can email it to OCR.
Yeah, email, to that.
OCR@milwaukieoregon.gov if you want to email them so that he can pull them up on the screen.
Yeah, so.
Okay. But they were wanting to put them in evidence, right? And if they go to showing the reasonableness of the costs, it seems like a reasonable thing to put into evidence, I guess.
I think it might be difficult to kind of count the number of trucks because different trucks were there throughout the day. Tim, and if you want to come up and help with this, because I was there for a little while and I think different trucks, you know, they pulled up, they pulled out, they pulled up, they pulled out. So I don't know necessarily that you're going to see a photo that has 4.5 trucks there all at the same time.
But at least the content, because they say it's a full load, right? So what constitutes a full load? Does a few tires and a exercise bike? I'm assuming the load is based on filling up the truck. So did they have 4 full trucks full of debris or stuff?
Yes. We took there was 4.25 trucks. We were there for 5 hours. There was a four-person crew loading up trucks, and one truck would leave with a 2-man crew, would leave, then came back, filled it up. While that one was going, we filled up the second one. Then that crew came back, dropped off the truck. Another group, that one that we were filling up while the other one was gone, that crew that just came back went to the dump, came back. A third truck showed up. A third driver showed up. We filled those 2 trucks up, and then the quarter truck was that.
So they were full, basically.
Yeah.
Full trucks.
That's what we were, and that's, yeah, at the reduced rate of 625, not 898, at a reduced rate of 625.
Thank you.
Got charged.
Can you explain why it was a reduced rate or what exactly was happening there?
It was part of the contract. Beforehand, before the abatement or anything, it was part of the contract. That's what they came in as a bid.
Okay, thank you.
Where did you say this at to? OCR?
So, I mean, being really curious, I mean, I called 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and I asked them if they had the dump receipts for when they took that stuff in, because she was trying to get one of her duffel bags back. They took some things that they shouldn't have taken, like one of our wheelbarrows that was still good. I mean, they took things that we didn't know they took, which was very disheartening. I mean, she's a rock collector. She had this whole duffel bag full of rocks that was sitting right in front of her rock, like her collection and whatnot, which they didn't go inside the shed and grab anything out of there. They just took the duffel bag that was sitting in front of it. And it wasn't, I mean, it was hard to tell exactly what they wanted to take, because I came out and told them, I was like, okay, there's some stuff out in the front yard, but I was like, the backyard doesn't bad at all. I was like, what do you guys plan on taking as far as you think junk and debris is? I mean, like yard debris, they didn't take any of that at all whatsoever. So I kind of questioned, like, okay, what do they want? So, and when I called 1-800-GOT-JUNK, they told me they had GPS on all their trucks. But they won't give it to me. They'll probably give it to him. I asked for the weights and they wouldn't give it to me. They said they gave it all to him. So I requested it from him and he gave it to me. But I mean, they're not receipts. He typed them in there. And it's kind of ironic, it's weird. The last one's 1560 exactly. That's kind of weird. So I don't understand what they consider, I don't know, it's just $625, I mean, $625 a load, it's expensive. It's $2,700. So I just don't think there was really that much there. I would love to see the GPS on those, but I mean, they're not gonna give them to me.
Okay, any other comments you want to make other than while we try to get the photos up? Any last comments you'd like to make?
I think so. That's pretty much it, really.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. Do we need to? Oh, please come up. Come up to the table. Give you 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Erica Swanson. I also live at 5992 Southeast Monroe Street. And all I wanted to add was that had we had better communication from code enforcement, as my brother said, the notices didn't have any specificity as to what we were to take care of. We've had this problem in the past with Tim. My mother had left him voicemails before about some notices that he had left and she didn't get calls back. We've had to go to court over this before. Just communication is key for all kinds of stuff. You know, had we had more communication and known what the directives were, we would not be here. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. I just want to maybe look to our city attorney, but my understanding is the challenge to the actual abatement, that time lapsed already, and that the question today is only about the fees.
Yes, the code sets out a process by which notice is given for the hearing, for the abatement. There's a time period with which you can protest the abatement, enter into discussions about, this isn't really a public nuisance, and figure out whether there's some middle ground. If you don't meet that reporting or objection timeline, then you spin into scheduling of the abatement, and the abatement occurred. And after the abatement is concluded, then the fees for the abatement are assessed against the landowner. And they have objected in a timely manner to that, which is what the purpose of this hearing is for.
Thank you. No luck? Okay. Pardon?
I've not received the photos yet, no.
Is there a Wi-Fi around here?
Yeah, there's a public Wi-Fi. It's,
The info's right there next to the door.
yeah.
That blue sign gives you the link and the password.
It's COM
Should
dash
we
public.
take a short break, and I'll allow some time for the photos to come through and be queued up? Oh, you have a question?
I'll ask a question, kill some time. Could you speak to a little bit why the police sergeant and police captain's time was billed? I appreciate the understanding a little bit about overtime, but I'd love to understand that a little bit more as well.
From what I understand, that there's been an ongoing problems with this house over many years. And so under normal circumstances, we wouldn't necessarily have police on the scene, but because there was some fear of safety and fear of how the process would go, they wanted to be on the scene.
So there were 4 officers present at
There
a
were
certain
2.
time. All right,
There's 2, is that correct, Tim?
I see so in the,
Two officers, a police sergeant and the police captain.
Okay.
The police captain and the police sergeant weren't there the whole time.
okay,
There's also some coordination that took place with the police captain.
that makes sense, thank you.
That wasn't enough time. You didn't kill enough time. Special. Let's think of more.
Well, if there's been problems for many years, how come we weren't notified of what we needed to do? Step by step.
If you're gonna speak, she needs to come. We can't catch this.
Actually, I mean, you guys have had your block of time, so I think, and again, this isn't about the abatement or not the abatement. This is only about the fees. If you want to talk about the abatement for future reference, I think, Mr. Salyers or his boss can talk to you offline at a different time. It sounds like but anyway, yeah, our only thing tonight is about the fees. That's the only question in front of us.
Yeah, personally, for me, I'd probably ask when you go back, because he said he had GPS up to all the trucks. So, that right there will basically say.
Sorry, look, we can't have you just talking from the back. You're not getting captured for the record. You're not on the microphone. I do feel like you've had your allocated, how much time have you given them?
We've had 2 people go at 1.5 minutes and 1 person go at 3 minutes. When he came back on,
Okay.
he did it again. So 3
So
minutes left.
you still have 3 minutes left if one of you wants to come forward and come to the microphone.
Were you able to figure out the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Mayor, I have a question. I'm hoping to just understand the process a little bit in terms of once the property is identified for abatement, specific items flagged or marked or something like that? Or do you walk through with the property owner and say, this needs to be moved, this needs to be taken out? How is that communicated?
While conducting an abatement, at the abatement, they don't necessarily know that we're coming at that moment. We're serving a warrant signed by the judge. And as I'm going through the property, we're removing items.
Okay, but that's not the first, like, communication in the process with the property owner, right? They've been given an opportunity to remove things from the property or to clean things up.
Yeah, so our first step is always like a notice of violation, a warning letter to try to get compliance, right?
Okay,
And then if those don't work, citations happen. And if that doesn't work, we move to abatement.
okay.
There's an abatement notice posted at the property. I'll also send certified mail requiring cleanup within 10 days or an appeal to the city council. That didn't happen. And so then we move forward with getting a warrant and going through the abatement.
Okay, yeah, it's helpful to understand those steps because in our packet, we just have a copy of the final abatement notice. And it doesn't give the specificity. So I'm trying to understand, the path of communication that you had with the property owner so that we can also understand the opportunities that they had to engage in the process leading up to the abatement.
Yeah.
And they have received, over the course of many years, 5 citations at the property. So there's been an ongoing problem. We don't go into abatement lightly. It's kind of the last resort in trying to sort these things out. And so we got to that point in this process.
And through the citations, there are specific items that are listed. What, like, when you get a citation, I assume that in the citation, it says, you need to clean this up, or you'll be, or we'll need to, do abatement on your property. Right? How do they know how to interact?
Citation is very broad. The citation is very broad. Notices of violation have more detail in them. The warning letters have more detail in them.
Okay.
And provides the code section. I'm available for communication when approached. And I've done site visits, not at this property, but I've done site visits with property owners about what can we do to solve this problem.
Okay.
And so that's a common thing that happens in enforcement.
And did the property owners here in this situation reach out to you for more guidance?
Not for the abatement, no.
But for citations leading up to the abatement?
No, there's been very little communication.
Okay.
All right, yeah, you have 3 more minutes between you, however you want to use those.
So I'd like to respond to that. So the citations were actually somewhat specific on what he wanted removed. Like there was an RV in the driveway, somebody was actually living in the RV, and it said no RV driving, or no RV living in the driveway. So we got rid of the RV, we got rid of some of the debris, the noxious weeds on the side street. We have a fence, and then there's kind of it drops down and it goes to the 60th is right here, and there's ivy that goes out and, I don't know, grows to the street. We know about that, it says noxious weeds. And so we know those things, but I mean, when it comes to like debris and stuff, we understand that to a certain extent, but there really wasn't anything there when he came by. I mean, the pictures he took for the affidavit, because I requested that, they don't look that bad. I mean, the photo could have looked a little bit better. I mean, he used kind of he used a filter on the photo to make it look terrible. It didn't look that bad, actually. I mean, if you would have changed the filter on it. And as far as like the code goes, they're supposed to come talk to us first before they do stuff like this. So we know what's going on. We've never talked to him. He's written every single citation for us. Every single one of them has been from him. And he's never ever talked to us until the day they served the warrant.
Also, 2 of the vehicles that they removed, they were not inoperable, but they took.
Could I ask, would you press the button right in front
Yeah.
of you so we can hear on the microphone? Thank you. Sorry.
2 of the vehicles were not inoperable, and they took those. We had 1 vehicle that was inoperable, and they took that because it didn't run. but 2 of them ran. And they didn't ask us if they ran, they just took them. They didn't discuss it, they just came in, hooked it up and took it. So,
Probably a little confused. They took 3 vehicles that day out of our driveway.
what was the third one?
There was a Ford Taurus, there was the Supra, and then my truck.
Oh, okay, that's right. Well,
That we didn't get any notices for, on the vehicles at all, or even on the abatement. There's no notice on here for the vehicles at all whatsoever. They aren't even on the warrant.
the Supra was not,
And they towed them.
was not runnable, but the two of them that they took they were operable. And they took them anyway. They didn't ask us to go out and start the car, they just took it.
And my truck ran.
Well,
I told them to go out there and start that thing
again,
right
the
now.
only question before us at this point is the costs. You had a window of opportunity to reach out to the city when you got the notice of abatement. You had, at each of these junctures, right? At each citation, at each notice, you had an opportunity to reach out to the city and challenge it. At this point, because the abatement, because you did not do that, the abatement has happened, and the only question before us is the amount of the cost.
Exactly. That's all it is here, is the amount of the cost. It has nothing to do with the fact my truck wasn't on the warrant and they could take it. I just want to talk about the costs. That's it. Which I would like to see GPS information on the trucks, personally. I mean, because then I'd have no problem paying for it. But if they can't produce that stuff, why should I have to pay for that? Why should the city have to pay for that? Because you guys cut the check first. We have to pay you. So in a sense, yeah, it's a city job, and they have no problem putting more money, putting more on it. It's like, oh, it's a city job, there you go. Huge list of stuff, let's add a couple more trucks. I mean, the
Yeah.
weights are exactly the same.
Yeah,
I mean, they
let's
send it to
take a
Amazon.
break,
It's ridiculous.
and we'll reconvene. You think it's coming through?
That's all I have.
Okay.
But she's the property owner. She's actually the one who owns the property.
We've had success in them being sent. They are larger photos though, so file sizes, so.
So if I have to pay this much money, can you put me on a payment plan? Because I don't have $5,920 sitting in my bank account.
I'm sure there's ways the city. Well, I'll defer to the city manager on that
I'm
one.
gonna lean towards the house.
Okay, I have the first photo, or I have a set of photos. But you're sharing, sorry.
I'll wait for Scott to bring up the photos and then, but this is my first time going through an abatement process. But we work out payment plans on other court processes at the city, so I believe that our court staff could be in touch about arranging a payment plan.
Here's the first photos we've received.
Show them one by one. Oh, there we go.
I'll wait 2-3 seconds and move on if that
Yeah,
works.
yeah, just a few seconds on each is good. Just to give us a sense.
So what are we doing?
We're looking at the photos.
Oh.
That's the first photo I've received. Are there gonna be more than the one that I've got?
Where is this in conjunction to the house? Is this the front, the side, the back? What are we looking at?
This is on the, this is the front, the top left is the front door porch area. The other 5 photos are the southeast corner
Southeast?
in the backyard, side yard, backyard.
I've got another set of photos if council's ready.
Go ahead.
I'll zoom in on each one just like the other time. Are these the same ones?
Some of these pictures are just things they took. For the most part. All this stuff in that picture. That wheelbarrow. Barbecue. And some bikes, bike frames, some tires. I think there's two white ones back. And they took both our wheelbarrows. I think we gave them one. The one was broken, and then they took one of our good ones. There's the table.
Okay. So, I mean, I felt like, the homeowners should be able to, oh, is there more?
There's one more
Oh,
set.
okay, okay. Okay, so that's it, okay. Thank you for sharing the photos. I felt like the photos were relevant to how look at, because they're challenging the amount of the cost. And so they go to the sort of amount of debris. But with that, I feel like we're closing the public hearing. Well, first, I guess I'll ask, does staff have any response to the testimony to this point?
When I have to do an abatement, excuse me, it's done by a warrant. I have to swear and affirm that everything I state is true in the affidavit. Everything that I respond with, there's a return of service, return of warrant back to the judge of items that we take. I have to swear to that. My word is very important. And I've been doing this for 21 years. I have no reason, and I was there on site the entire time. I have no reason to articulate there being 4.25 truckloads versus 2.25 truckloads. There's no reason for that. We were estimated, when I did an analysis of the property, we estimated that there was gonna be 5 truckloads. 4.25 truckloads is what we took. And we have weights for 5 truckloads. So that's that. And the hourly is very, I mean, it's spot on. So if there's an addition, excuse me, if there is a correction or a reduced rate that the council would like to address, or I don't know the right word right now,
Impose.
impose. The council's doing that on their own, not because of the information that's factually true. Like, if you want to give them a break, that's up to council. It's not based on 4.5 truckloads, 2.5 truckloads. It's a fact that there was 4.25 truckloads.
I just want to jump in there and say that I too believe that, council holds this hearing in front of council, but I want to back up Tim and the code compliance team's work. Tim takes this job very seriously. I believe all the facts represented in the staff report are indeed facts. This is what we were billed by the contractors involved in this work. All that data and receipts have been presented. And so I just wanted to provide my support behind how Tim and the code compliance team handled this abatement.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for staff? If not, I will entertain a motion to close the, I do have a question. Sorry, your time is done.
This is outside the scope of the conversation, but in a future city manager update after community comments, could you provide some context for these folks about how they might be able to cure? They mentioned that items were taken of theirs that shouldn't have been taken, and that's not the process that we have tonight, but is there a possibility to have staff follow up with them about what the appropriate process would be for curing that complaint that they have?
I can follow up with any information that we can find on that topic. I don't know it off the top of my head right now, but I can follow up on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing on the protest abatements caused at 5992 Southeast Monroe Street.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing on the protest of abatement costs at 5992 Southeast Monroe Street. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The public testimony portion of the public hearing on abatement protest is closed. Is there council discussion? I'll start. Since I allowed the photos, I did feel like since they brought photos, it was, they should be able to show the photos. I don't know that the photos were all that helpful. It looked like a lot of stuff. Whether it looked like, I'm not someone who I wouldn't try to judge how many truckloads that is. But I do believe that, Mr. Salyers would not fabricate extra trucks to pad the number or whatever. So I feel very confident in the tally here, personally. Other comments, other discussion?
I appreciate these abatement processes. This is my first one, just like our city managers. They don't seem like they're ever going to be easy, and I appreciate the work that you do. And I think that you've done a good job of laying out the costs that occurred here. I hope that the city manager can follow up to talk through a little bit of some of the complaints that were raised that maybe are outside of the scope of this hearing. But I just want to say I appreciate the dialogue that you've been able to have with these folks. I know that there's some frustration about the dialogue that happened, and I encourage you, if you ever are struggling to get hold of our staff or have questions about what's happening at the city, all of our emails are listed publicly. You're welcome to reach out to any of us as well, and we're happy to talk through this as well.
No, sorry, the public hearing's closed. But I do think that's a good comment for anybody watching. I've only been I've been on council for 12 years, and it's only probably the third abatement thing that I've been through. They're not frequent. But I do think when you get a notice from code compliance, you should respond. You should respond and have the dialogue. Okay. If nothing further, are we ready? This will be on YouTube. You'll be able to get a transcript. from YouTube. With that, we haven't voted, but, yeah. I would entertain a motion.
I move to uphold the cost of the abatement of the property located at 5992 Southeast Monroe Street as determined by city staff.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to uphold the costs of abatement of the property located at 5992 Southeast Monroe Street as determined by city staff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. None heard. It passes unanimously. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Okay, tree code amendments. The public hearing is on the proposed tree code amendments is called to order. The purpose of this hearing is to hear the staff report, take public comments, deliberate, and consider adopting tree code amendments. Does any council member wish to announce actual or potential conflicts of interest? Does any council member wish to report any ex parte contacts regarding this hearing action? Seeing none, I will turn it over to our Climate and Natural Resources Manager, Katie Gavaris.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Council President, councilors. Beautiful. Thank you, Scott. So we're here tonight to talk about some proposed tree code amendments to comply with HB 4037. So you all are likely very familiar with HB 4037, and this was a comprehensive housing bill that adjusts state programs, streamlines local approvals, and strengthens some affordable housing funding. One of the clear takeaways is that it requires local governments to apply only clear and objective standards when regulating housing development. And it includes local tree codes related to housing development. So Section 17 of the Act outlines how this applies to tree code. It largely applies in terms of not allowing public hearings and reducing the scope of public noticing. And HB 4037 becomes operative on July 1st, 2026. So the good news is our residential development tree code was developed with the understanding of having very clear and objective standards. And only one small piece of our development permitting process will likely need to change in order to comply with this. So currently, how our residential development tree code high level works is when a development site applies, they must meet our 4 clear standards for development tree code. We have preservation, planting, protection, and soil volume. And so a site will, for example, we've talked a lot about how a site needs to meet the preservation requirement, which is 40% canopy on the site. And that includes the private trees, and then it can include the street or public trees that might be adjacent to that development site. So when there is a street or public tree that is impacted by the development, they also must follow the public tree code. And so in addition to meeting those 4 clear standards in our development tree code, in order to be approved to be removed, they have to meet the criteria and approval standards in our public tree code. One of the processes in our public tree code is to require a 2-week public notice period and an optional public meeting prior to the city's decision. And so in our public tree code, it says the city will consider all the concerns raised, and the final decision will be based on the criteria and approval of the standards set forth in the code. And so that those comments and that optional meeting is to help us understand if there are kind of other ways to understand and or further our understanding of how that proposed tree removal meets the criteria. That is the piece that no longer complies with the HB 4037 because it, the 2-week notice period. Just for the public trees that are proposed for removal around development. So the proposal to comply with the HB 4037 is to exempt public notice for just when it is around when it is adjacent to a residential development. This will not change the protection standards, the canopy or the mitigation requirements, any of the requirements around our arborist report that's outlined in the development tree code. And also it won't lessen any of the requirements or standards that are required in our public tree code. It just changes the requirement to have a 2-week notice, public notice period. In our public tree code, we have a section for public notice exemptions. We have, for example, if a tree is already dead or dying or is an unreasonable risk, they are exempt from the 2-week public notice period. And so this proposed amendment would add an additional exemption that makes it very specific to if it's adjacent to an active residential development project. An active residential development project is once the permit has been submitted and the fees have been paid. And yeah, so that's the overview and open to questions.
So I have a question that just occurred to me, and I'm sorry that it didn't occur to me earlier, so I could give you and Justin a heads up. But when somebody is doing a housing development, we have to have a clear and objective standard pathway, but we also do have a discretionary pathway for housing. If someone chooses to do the discretionary pathway because they want variances or whatever, would we be giving up too much here? Should we be limiting this to if they're doing the housing on the clear and objective standards? See what I'm getting at? Like somebody could be, right? I mean, somebody could be doing a residential development, but not be going for the clear and objective standards on the actual residential development. Are we then like, should we be preserving this ability to have the hearing, to have the 2-week notice if they take that option when it comes to the actual land use application?
I think the placement of the trees, it triggers different requirements likely. Usually when you go down the discretionary pathway, it's because there's trees that are preventing your development. I don't really see this particular area of the code being triggered through a discretionary review. This is more kind of a site development adjacent to the right-of-way, but if it's triggered by a development concern, I don't think this is the type of trees where somebody would voluntarily take out necessarily unless they needed it for access or something like that. Whereas if you have trees internal to the lot, when we're going through the process and they do the discretionary review, that kind of lets them pick and choose and work with some of the standards that aren't through the clear and objective pathway. So I don't really think preserving that is actually going to change a whole lot in terms of how this works. Does that make sense to you?
I think so. Because our residential, we have the residential tree code, which is different from the residential development. And so the residential development tree code shouldn't have any part of it shouldn't have the discretionary overview piece. Or I guess I'm missing, is the variance piece that you're talking about part of like the overall overall housing variance pathway?
Right.
Got it.
Yeah, they may, and and I had I wish I'd kept Laura here to ask her this question, but, I don't know how many housing applications so much more now is allowed by right and under clear and objective standards. So I don't know how often a housing development, is actually, coming in not through the clear and objective, but through the discretionary. But if they were to come in through the discretionary because of some modifications they want or whatever, should we be also, keeping the 2-week notice since they're not going clear and objective standards with their underlying land use application? I guess that's my core question.
I think it's been an exception, at least as it relates to tree code, where people aren't utilizing the clear and objective standards. There's maybe been 1 or 2 developments that have tried to go through one of the variance processes I think, but it's the exception.
It's the exception.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't see that.
Okay. Well, if it's a rare thing, then I won't belabor the point. Council President?
Can you just explain a little bit why the hearings themselves, or why requiring the public notice is not a clear and objective standard? Is that, I'm trying to look at the bill right now, and it has a provision that says may not have the effect of either in themselves or cumulatively of discouraging needed housing through unreasonable cost or delay. Is that the justification for it? Or I guess, why is this outside the scope of what the House bill requires?
So on section 17, I think it's page like 12 or 13, it outlines that the local government may not require a public hearing prior to making a decision on the application. And it reduces our ability to provide that public notice piece. And so it kind of lays that out so explicitly, A, B, and C. And so that's kind of the piece in our tree code. It says we may consider all concerns raised in the meeting or comments, and it has final decision-making based on the criteria. So I think it opens up the opportunity for that discretionary decision-making. We utilize it to inform and reinforce the public tree code standards that apply. And I don't think I would have flagged the public notice period as something that has discretionary decision-making if it wasn't kind of outlined in the bill, in the act itself.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Questions? Go ahead.
So basically, the public no longer can have a say, or at least have their voice heard on public trees, right? That's pretty much it. That's the exemption.
When it's residential.
Only when it relates to a residential development.
Yeah, right.
So,
Right.
but even then, that's introducing, those public comments introduce something that's not necessarily clear and objective. So we do have in our tree code, both on the public side, clear and objective standards and approval standards for when a tree can be removed, trying to keep that clear and objective. So it's trying to streamline the process and remove the potential for subjectiveness to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they say with everything they do, right? It's meant to do this, it's meant to do that, and it hasn't done any of those things. Because we're building less now than before Kotek was governor anyways. So, I mean, and then there's the idea of home rule. Like, it's just over and over and over and over and over. They step on our toes and take away engagement opportunities for the public. So this isn't inclusive. This is exclusive. Like I've mentioned this before. And they're not hearing cities because obviously they keep doing the same stupidity that they've been doing. So this sucks. The leadership sucks right now. in Salem. And here we are. So what are you gonna do?
I have some sympathy with you, Counselor. I mean, that it is true. They've taken away more and more public voice, and that has been happening for several years now, which is dismaying. I share your frustration. Counselor Massey.
I'm with you two. That's all I have to say. I'm sick of this stuff coming out of Salem. Okay? They don't trust us. They tell us this all the time by putting in these kinds of things. They don't let us home rule. I'm frustrated by this. There's too much of this going on in Salem because they think they have all the answers. And you know what? I think we got some pretty good answers ourselves.
Okay, we actually should be still in kind of question mode for staff, but we've kind of gone into deliberation. So I guess I first, have we received any correspondence on this topic? No, okay. Does anyone wish to comment on the potential proposed tree code amendments? I don't see anybody in the room. Do we have anybody online? Okay, so I won't read that script. Okay, so no need for response to testimony. Any last chance for questions of staff? If there are no more questions, I will entertain a motion to close the public comment part of the hearing.
Oh, let's see.
I'll read it.
Go ahead.
I move to close the public comment part of the tree code amendments adoption hearing.
Do I have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public comment part of the tree code amendments adoption hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The public comment part of the hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion?
Yes, Mayor. Question.
Yes.
What if we all vote no? What happens? What happens if we all voted no on this ordinance and it fails 0 to 5? What is the state gonna do?
I'm not certain the state would do anything, but an affected landowner would be able to challenge any decision that we make that's not based on clear and objective criteria, and they would win.
I like that risk.
Yeah. All right, any other thoughts? Any other,
Mayor, quick thought. I think it would be helpful for our upcoming legislative session to monitor any proposed amendments or modifications to this bill so that we can choose the opportunity to engage and provide testimony. So if it could be added to our legislative tracker, that would be helpful.
and.
I mean, I understand it's already passed, but
Right.
if there are any proposed amendments to it.
And I will note, I think Councilor Khosrowbadi has been participating in some of the housing rulemaking. And sounds like there's more of this coming down the pike in the
God, yes.
housing
It's horrible.
rulemaking.
They're gonna be overriding basically our tree code's gonna be obsolete. We might as well get rid of it now. Because that new MORE program, MHOR, More Homes Oregon, whatever they're calling it, that's gonna allow trees, like, you're not even gonna have to get a permit for trees with a 20-inch breast height. TBH.
Wow.
So it's gonna basically wipe out our tree code. Yeah, I mean, tell you, they suck. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. And they have no, like, what committee does this even come out of? Like, who are the ones?
I think this one would have come out of Senate and House Housing.
Fantastic.
Councilor Massey.
You know, some will say we're trying to put up more barriers to housing. That's what they'll say to you and I, okay? And I think that we have a pretty strong history of providing more housing types, promoting more affordable housing and that kind of thing. But you know, there's some other goals, you know? Does the state care about climate goals? Do they care about having tree canopies? Doesn't sound like it. You know? So I think that everything else is being pushed for the sake of more housing. I want more housing. But there has got to be some medium approach to this so that other goals can be achieved. I mean, I think the state wants us to promote an environmentally friendly communities, but doesn't sound like it. Doesn't mean we're against housing. Does not mean we're against housing.
The funniest thing is this, you know, a state that considers itself so progressive, yet bill after bill in housing, what do? They continue to enrich the market rate developers, the millionaires, multi-millionaires that put us in this situation in the first place. How progressive is that? Yeah, maybe you don't take corporate PAC money, but you're giving money to the very people that help put us in this situation and price people out of the state. Let's be real. How progressive is that? Sounds like capitalistic to me more than anything. $400 million bill when she first took office that went to who? Market rate developer, no carve out for affordable housing. I mean, come on. Think about who you're giving the bones to. Yeah, you can, you know, not take money from all the corporate PACs you want, but if you're just going to give it to the people anyways, then your point is obsolete. Like, you know, check your ego and get over yourself.
Okay. If no more comments or deliberation, do we have a motion or does nobody want to make the motion?
I move for the first and second readings by title only and adoption of the ordinance amending municipal code, MMC, chapter 16.32, tree code for the purpose of complying with Oregon House Bill HB 4037.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded for the first and second readings by title only and adoption of the ordinance amending Municipal Code Chapter 1632, tree code for the purpose of complying with Oregon House Bill 4037. Is there any further discussion? It's a tough one.
Can I just clarify here? If we don't pass this change, if we pass this change, people are still held to the standards that we set as a city on public tree removal. You just don't have to provide the public notice. If we fail to pass this, then even if someone does not meet those standards, they could cut down a tree and challenge our process and win.
Well, I would say that your question's kind of missing the point. The state is requiring us to adopt clear and objective standards for this. Currently, our code does not provide that. And so this small edit turns this part of our tree code, which to staff's credit, long ago when we adopted the tree code, we saw this coming, which we talked and we really reworked the first version of the tree code to establish clear and objective criteria because we knew this was coming. The days here, this last enactment really slotted tree provisions into the land use process. We had tried for a long time to keep our tree code separate from land use, and that's becoming increasingly difficult. So I obviously can't control your vote, but what I can tell you is that the state is requiring that all aspects of our tree code that touch development need to have clear and objective standards. What our code does now is it allows input and consideration that interjects discretionary review into the process.
And I guess, can you clarify what the consequence is of not passing this? That's just unclear to me.
I believe, as the city attorney said, our standard still applies, but we just open ourselves up to legal challenge and a legal challenge that we would lose because we are not compliant with state legislation.
Yeah, I mean, we have to have a code. The most recent enactment, is it House Bill 4037? Is that what it is? Good, I remembered it. Requires that the tree code as it applies to development needs to have clear and objective criteria. Our current code does not do that. So it would be the same as House Bill 2001 requires middle housing, but we're not going to allow middle housing according to 2001. And so if somebody goes through the process and we try to subject them to a hearing about whether or not they can take a tree out and inject discretionary review into it, they will be able to appeal that decision.
And cut down the tree, or I
Well,
guess that's.
they could refuse to abide by our code because it's illegal, doesn't comply with state law, and they could cut the tree down, in which case and comply with our clear and objective criteria. I would suppose a landowner could go through the process that we require them to go through and then challenge the outcome of that process as not subjecting them to clear and objective criteria, which there's a lot of case law at the Land Use Board of Appeals, both in the land use context and now by virtue of some of these recent legislative actions, tree codes, that if you're trying to apply a standard that's not clear and objective, LUBA will remand it and order the city to enter a decision or entertain a decision that's based on clear and objective criteria.
Does that include any type of like monetary, or could they seek any type of monetary damages in that process, or?
That's an interesting question. I think, if the city is willfully not complying with state law, I could see where they might request monetary relief, and that may or may not be granted.
So just looking at the other exemptions.
If I could.
Yeah.
If I could. One other avenue, of course, is that if the city is requiring, I'd have to think this through, so I'm kind of doing this on the fly, but if the city's trying to require somebody to go through a process or is refusing to let them go through the process that the law provides for in the state statute, they could file a mandamus action against the city, requiring the city to act a certain way on their application. And that does come with some pretty firm financial penalties if they actually win that case. That could be one path. There are multiple pathways how it could.
So I'm trying to just think about how this, so the other exemptions here are for dead and dying, noxious weeds, risk. So we're assuming with using this new language that the tree in question adjacent to a housing development is none of those things. It's healthy, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And so it otherwise would be one we wouldn't let them take down.
Even if it's healthy, it still has to meet one of the approval standards that's outlined in the code.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be, and there's not a laundry list, but 7 or 8 different approval standards that they have to meet. So and it's a rigorous, I think a pretty rigorous standard. You just can't remove a healthy tree in the right of way. So it has to be, it may be the trees in a place where it's the only way that you can get access to that property, right? So that tree would need to be removed, and there's a fee associated with that removal. But there's a pretty strict approval standard that has to meet.
So this doesn't change those criteria to the mayor's point. It still needs to meet.
That's what I was trying to, and very inartfully stated about, this is likely to not come into purview very often because it's a street tree. So it's typically that you'd see this coming through access or some requirement. I don't think this is, whereas when we're doing development interior to the property, and it's a blank piece of property that hasn't been developed, there's a lot more moving the puzzle pieces around so they can put the box on the lot. Here, you're looking at more access issues and things like that. That's what I was very inartfully stated earlier.
And I just want to offer, I have a lot of sympathy for some of the sentiments expressed tonight about state overreach and implications on cities. In this case, I want you to remember that our code and our criteria will still apply. What is taken out here is the public notice. And frankly, sometimes I fear that public notice puts the public in a more frustrating situation because they comment on things that are not clear and objective criteria, and then we have to reject that in our analysis. So I am not pushing back on the frustration in removing transparency or engagement. I think those are all valid concerns, but I don't believe this is going to lead to any difference, and it won't lead to any difference in decision-making on the city's part. It will result in maybe less notification of neighbors, but potentially also less frustration of those neighbors being notified about something that then they actually cannot change.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to say that this is extremely frustrating. I've heard my colleagues. But I don't want to put the city in a position of having to be involved in unnecessary legal challenges. And so it's very difficult to move something forward that I'm opposed to. And I assume that my colleagues are finding that same frustration tonight. But that's the reason that I chose to second the ordinance, or the motion. I also really appreciate the foresight that went into the development of our code so that when things like this come about, we do have a mechanism in place to provide the support that we can to the process that we believe is true to our values. So I think that says a lot about the tree code itself and Milwaukee's commitment to our tree canopy. There are undoubtedly going to be things like this that chip away. It doesn't mean that those values are gone. It doesn't mean that that the tree code is useless. There's still a lot of very useful mechanisms that we have, at our disposal. I think what this means is that we have to rely on those mechanisms. And there might be an instance where we do want the public to be aware of a particular situation. You have a lot of other opportunities to do so outside of just public notice. So I wanted to say those comments, and unfortunately, I'm prepared to move forward with the vote.
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from, City Manager Sagor. The issue with it is, like you mentioned, Councilor Stavenjord, they just keep chipping away, right? They keep chipping away at what we're able to do. And let's not forget, all this money that they're pumping into it, it's the public's money. It's not like it came from Canada or Mexico. This is taxpayer dollars, and it's like you chip away at every opportunity you can to allow the people to have a say in something. And what I went to first off right away was when the tree was getting cut over at Reliable Credit. And the email all of us got on that, where it was like they were gonna cut down those 2 street trees in the front were I went over there and I talked to the person, and they were like, yeah, we were gonna cut them down, but the city said no, right? So I know that's a separate thing, but again, the idea of something like that, and it's a separate situation, but it's similar in a way, because you're taking away the public's just ability to be able to say, hey, this doesn't feel right. I want to be able to say my piece on it, right? That's the thing. It's not the developers. Like, when did they get to have all the say in this and be able to strong arm cities into basically caving to what they want to build and they want to do? And it's a repeated cycle. Like, we've been through this before. Look at our history. It doesn't work. You can't keep giving money to the people who have it all and expect them to do the right thing. They won't. And the state just keeps thinking that they're the answer and that those people are the answer, as opposed to people like us who were ahead of the curve years ago. And not one person from the state came down to say, what the hell are you guys doing? So that's the issue. How much farther are we as cities gonna allow it to go? Because it's almost like every session there's another thing they take away. And they haven't given us a damn thing. They didn't give us any money for infrastructure. So what's the goal? What is the goal? Because like I said before, we're not building anything. Like, we are, but the state as a whole is far behind what the governor's own projections were. It's not working. And taking away the public's mouthpiece to be able to say something when they don't feel like something's right in their own damn neighborhood, because they have a right to do that. Hello. That seems like we're just gonna take more away from the people we're trying to help in order to have the people that are building this stuff, that are pricing the people that we're trying to help, get more money and have a faster process to do that. Staff knows what it's like to deal with some of these developers. It's not pretty. A lot of them suck. They're rude. They're assholes, right? The public deserves better, not worse. Stop chipping away at every opportunity you can to remove the transparency that's owed to the public because it's their dollars. Period.
Mayor,
Council President?
can we call the question? Do you need to say something before I call the question?
I know, I'm sorry, and then I'll jump on. The two things that I was gonna say. One, I think this is an indication that is even more important that we're putting out into the pilot and other things. Any changes related to our code, when we're moving to clear and objective standards, enforcing that, it means all of the public engagement happens on the front end, not the back end. And I think we need to hold ourselves to really high standards to be doing that public engagement, because it's a change that we're not able to comment on developments as they're happening. And so making sure residents are meaningfully involved in that code development, I think is going to be that much more important, just as we're forced into this world. I also, I hate to say this because I know I'm just like reading a bill on the fly, but looking at section 5, subsection A, it looks like that there's some provision that kind of allows you to, it says, for application subject to subsection 1 of this section, the local government may provide the notice of application only to owners of record of property on the most recent property tax assessment roll, where such property is located within 100 feet or within 500 feet for developments of 20 units or more of the property that is subject of the notice.
20 units or more.
That might be, it can be 500 feet for a development that is 20. If it's any development, 100 feet, 20 units or more, 500 feet. Would that allow us to send a notice, or is that, I'm reading this bill incorrectly? Because if there is any opportunity to provide notice, I would love to make sure we can still do that in the code.
I think it does allow notice, but it's not a public posting, right? Is that correct? It's a mailer that you would have to mail to those addresses? So it's not like putting something up and saying that that this tree is, there's an application for removal for that tree.
And it's not the comments back or the optional meeting.
There's no meeting. It's just that notice piece, yeah.
I do think the sentiments provided, like, it is important that people know what's happening with our public trees ahead of time. I think when people have no notice and a tree comes down, that causes a lot more consternation. And even if there is not a formal public hearing on this, making sure people are able to still email us, still email their state legislator, whoever it may be. I think that notice is still an important component. And if we're able to preserve that, I think that might be something nice to include. But I don't know the cost component of that or what that might entail.
Was that language you just read out of HB 4037?
4037. So we're looking at, my understanding is this is section 17, review of housing applications on page 14, which deletes on line 22 of page 14, it deletes the word code. So then it just becomes governing tree removals, not just tree removal codes relating to development of housing. And on the next page, 15, line 15, subsection 5, it has, it says for applications subject to this subsection 1 of this section, the local governments may provide notice. So it seems like there's still some pathway to provide notice.
I mean, I hear that to mean that we can absolutely send notice out, but we are exempt from we're not gonna have the public meeting. There's not going to be an opportunity for the public to be involved in a public process. They can be notified that the action is taking place, but really it falls back on what we've put in place in the code to protect this decision around healthy trees.
Yes.
That's what we can do.
And I think, and I'll go back to that point too, on our public tree code, there's pretty rigorous approval standards there that we subject those applications for removal of a tree. So the Reliable Credit, they had submitted an application for removal of those public trees, and they did not meet the standard in the code.
And you had said it's different, and I just want to reiterate why it's different. That's commercial, and so the commercial development will still have the public notice component, and that is separate from the residential development.
Yeah, and I just brought that up because we're gonna hear, like, that's how residents are gonna reach out, right? So it's like the state does this stuff, and then they expect us to come in and clean up and have to, just like when we had the state here for the middle housing stuff, and we had that town hall.
I do think, to Councilor Khosrowshahi's point, if a tree is cut down and no one understands why, or no one gets any notice, it can be challenging. And even if there is an explanation, a notice that has an explanation of our tree code and the criteria you have to meet and our contact information, we can point them in any other direction. But having that notice, I think, is still a valuable thing to preserve.
So the way I understand this is that, this public tree can be cut down, without a meeting and that kind of thing. And so do the developers have any clear standard about cutting down a tree? Can they just do it for convenience?
No.
Well, tell me more.
They've said multiple times our standards still apply. They just don't have to do a public meeting, which we're all saying is not good, but our standards still apply. And I'm saying we should still require the notice.
Council President is correct. All of our other standards will apply. It is just the notice. And I will offer, I actually disagree with you slightly, Council President. I think a mailer, which we will have to pay for and put staff time into, is more frustrating for someone to get if you get a mailer saying this is happening and there's nothing you can do about it. So, but you are absolutely right. The standards are going to apply. We are not going to start blanket approving public street removal. We will still follow all of our process. The only step this changes is that there won't be notice or in a public hearing.
I understand what the standards are on the city's part, but it seems to me that the developer can have this public tree brought down for his own convenience.
Well, the removal of the tree, the application, it still has to meet one of the approval standards. To remove the tree, the developer still needs to meet one of the approval standards that we've identified in our code.
Can you remind us what those standards are?
Yeah, I'm pulling that up.
They're not insignificant. So,
Okay,
yeah,
tell me more.
they're not insignificant. What this is designed to do is, prior to this, when there was a street tree that was to be taken down, the city essentially solicited comments from the public that they could take into consideration in deciding about the tree removal. Many times, we didn't have to take I shouldn't say many because not very many applications have triggered this, but we would take into consideration what the public said, and we actually engrafted an ability to have a meeting with city staff about it to explain why you didn't think that tree should come down. This enactment doesn't allow us to take into consideration some of those comments from somebody. Now we just apply the standards. Before, we applied the standards and we listened to a disgruntled neighbor that might not want the tree to come down. But we still applied the standards.
So I can just name some of these standards for you. This is Code Chapter 16.32.026. The street tree or public tree proposed for major pruning or removal has to meet one or more of the following criteria. Must be dead or dying and cannot be saved. Must be having an adverse effect on the existing adjacent infrastructure that cannot be mitigated by pruning or reasonable alternative construction techniques. It has sustained physical damage that will cause the vegetation to die or enter an advanced state of decline. It poses an unreasonable risk to the occupants of the property, et cetera. it's necessary to accommodate improvements in the right-of-way or on city-owned land, and it's not practical to modify those improvements to avoid removal. It's on the noxious weed list or invasive tree list, or it is part of a stormwater management system and has grown too large to remain effective as part of that system. It has to do one of those things to come out. If it doesn't, we will not allow it.
So there's no provisions for access.
No, I think, you
That
know,
would be it would be the removal of a street tree is necessary to accommodate improvements in the right of way. And it's not practical to modify that location of that access. So it would be, it would fall in with that criteria there.
so to put that in lay terms, like if someone came to us with a cottage cluster development and said, hey, I want my driveway for this to be here and I want to take out that street tree that's right there, we would not just say, okay, we would say, well, if you put the driveway here, or you could access from this point and preserve that tree, that is what you have to do to receive your permit.
So there is access issues, but there's some wiggle room there on both parts.
Mhm.
That's my concern.
We do have a motion on the floor.
Can I clarify one thing? Do the hearings, knowing that we already apply clear and objective standards, do the hearings have any impact right now on whether or not this permit is allowed? So even though we allow hearings right now, the public testimony is not factored into the decision to. Or I don't mean after we adopt this, I mean right now as written.
As written to get a permit for removal of a tree within the right of way, it has to meet one of these approval standards.
And so that feedback provided helps us understand and consider how does it meet one of those, and if it provides any additional information to how it meets one of those requirements. But if it doesn't meet one of those requirements, those comments aren't considered into that decision-making.
Okay, that's helpful.
So I just want to highlight among that list that Emma read from 16-32-026 C2. Anyway, major pruning or removal of a street tree or public tree is necessary to accommodate improvements in the right-of-way or on city-owned land, and it is not practicable to modify the proposed improvements to avoid major pruning or removal. It doesn't say to accommodate improvements in the private property. No, I think that's better. It puts us in a better position to deny, because it does not say.
For the public, the fact that you remove the hearing for something like that for city-owned property, that's the thing. I'm just saying in
well,
general,
yeah,
just the
yeah.
removal of that. That's it.
But in terms of a developer trying to game the system by wanting to put his access where the tree is and not somewhere else, it seems like this language gives us some power to resist that.
Yes.
So I guess it makes me feel better about what we're being asked to do here. All right, are we ready to vote? We do have a motion and a second. Yep. All right. It's been moved and seconded for the first and second readings by title only and adoption of the ordinance amending Municipal Code Chapter 16.32 Tree Code for the purpose of complying with the Oregon House Bill 4037. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay? No?
No.
All right. Since the vote was not unanimous, the ordinance must be read at a second meeting. City Manager Sager, please read the ordinance one time in full. She has to read it in full?
Title, I think.
Yeah,
Title
sorry,
only,
title.
by title only, okay.
Please don't make me read the ordinance in full. An ordinance of the City of Milwaukie, Oregon, amending Municipal Code, Chapter 16.32, Tree Code for the purpose of complying with Oregon House Bill 4037.
The second reading and adoption will be set for the next council meeting on July 7th, 2026. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, you have to come back.
We love you.
I think we appreciate we appreciate the discussion, so.
I appreciate you guys for having we get the end of it. You guys have to figure out how this all fits. So kudos and hats off to all of you for putting up with it. Thank you. And us, for that matter.
Thank you.
See you on the 7th.
All right, we're gonna plow through, or does anybody else need okay. Okay. The public hearing, poor Chris, he's been sitting here all night. The public hearing on the consolidated fee schedule is called to order. The purpose of this hearing is to hear the staff report, take public comments, deliberate, and consider adopting the revised consolidated fee schedule. Does any council member wish to announce actual or potential conflicts of interest? Seeing none, I will turn it over to Finance Director Michael Osborne, who's been watching soccer while we've been. No.
Messi scored a hat trick.
You gave it away. That was my opening. I was so excited. If you heard the cheering next door, that was me. Good evening, council. I am here to adopt the updated fee schedule for fiscal year 2027-2028. I originally came before council on April 14th to discuss and receive your input on general updates and changes to the fee schedule. Then on May 5th, returned with Chris Bell, who's our solid waste consultant, to discuss solid waste rate increases, which is why I believe Chris is here tonight. During the process of reviewing our fee schedule, each department reviews their current fees for the following. Cost recovery. Are we charging enough to recoup staff time and the cost for work? Relevant and reasonableness. Is it still needed and does it make sense? And comparability. Where are we compared to other local cities and agencies in our area? This year, we had several different department changes and updates as we did our city reorg. In engineering, we divided into two groups, one being CIP engineering and the other being development services. We split their fees into two different sections in the fee schedule. We also had new leadership with Laura Weigel, our community development director. This being her first fee schedule update. She oversees building, code compliance, and development services. And she went through with her team and kind of looked at all of the fees and made sure everything was reasonable and how she wanted it. Most fees remained unchanged as shown in the staff report, but the following fees had a small increase. Starting with planning fees increased for the first time in a number of years. Specific to annexation fees increased. This was due to recoup the cost the city pays to Metro. Utility adjustments, we did a new water rate structure. This is a 3-tier approach. With the first tier, we are lowering the rate for the first 3 CCF of water. Then increased cost for water between tiers 4 through 10 CCF and 11 plus CCF. The overall utility revenue projects an annual increase of roughly 8% annually for the for the 2 years of the biennium. But again, we're lowering the cost for the first 0 to 3 CCF for essential water use. Street fees are increasing to $6.72 per month. This is based on the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. Safe fees are increasing roughly 9% to $7.75 per month. These fees are used to maintain streets and transportation improvements, also sidewalk and bicycle infrastructure, as well as ADA accessibility. Our water, wastewater, stormwater, and public safety fee remain unchanged. As far as solid waste rate changes, residential rates are increasing approximately 4% for this year. There's no change in commercial container rates. Drop boxes and roll-off compactor rates are increasing 3 to 8%, with the delivery fee increasing from $48 to $95. This increase is due to delivery time, an increase in delivery and travel time and mileage to landfills in the metro area. Finally, the right-of-way utility application fee increased from $50 to $100, and the 5-year license fee increased from $250 to $500. These are fees that hadn't been increased in a number of years. This is a brief summary of the changes and everything with the fee schedule. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for staff? Did we get any correspondence on the fee schedule? No. Okay. Does anyone wish to comment on the fee schedule? Do we have anyone online who wishes to comment? Okay, then I won't bother reading that script. All right, last chance for questions of staff. If not, I will entertain a motion to close the public comment part of the hearing.
I move to close the public comment part of the consolidated fee schedule adoption hearing.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public comment part of the consolidated fee schedule adoption hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. The public comment part of the hearing is closed. Is council ready to vote?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I move to approve the resolution revising fees and charges and updating the consolidated fee schedule for fiscal years 2027 and 2028.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution revising fees and charges and updating the consolidated fee schedule for fiscal years 2027 and 2028. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. None heard. It passes unanimously. All right. Then we have a biennial budget amendment resolution. Public hearing is on the proposed budget amendment is called to order. The purpose of this hearing is to hear the staff report, take public comments, deliberate, and consider adopting a resolution to amend the current fiscal year budget. Does any council member wish to announce actual or potential conflicts of interest? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to Michael again.
Good evening again, Mayor. I'm here to talk tonight before council to bring a budget adjustment ahead of the fiscal year end for 2026, that our fiscal year ends on June 30th of this year. This budget adjustment is in the amount of $100,000. The purpose or need of this adjustment is to ensure the IT budget has sufficient funds and does not go over budget at year end. The adjustment is not due to over expenditure, but related to a 2022 new Governmental Accounting Standards Board policy commonly known as GASB 96. The standard relates to subscription-based informational technology arrangements, or known as SBITAs, a lot of acronyms, or IT-related vendor contracts. The change was treating these types of software subscriptions like a lease and recorded on our balance sheet instead of expensing it as a pay-as-you-go. A brief example is if you sign a 5-year software contract for $20,000 per year or $100,000 over the life of the contract. In the past, you would have the expense of just 1 year of the $20,000. With the change to GASB 96, you record the subscription liability of $100,000 on your balance sheet and then expense the $20,000 in the first year, leaving you with the liability of $80,000 remaining. I see a lot of glossy eyes, but this budget amendment, it's hard for us to predict into the future of what our subscription needs are going to be at the beginning of the budget. So this is just kind of cleanup. This budget adjustment is to increase the budget for these subscriptions on our books for the life of the contract. I want to note that last year, this Gatsby change made us go over budget for IT, and we are doing this adjustment ahead of time to avoid similar comment like the previous year with our auditors. The 100,000 is being moved from community development, who is far above budget. Any questions?
Or far below budget? Above budget? Okay. Okay.
They
Any
have
questions?
ample budget.
Any questions for Mr. Osborne? Seeing none. Have we received any correspondence on this? Nope. Does anyone wish to comment? Nope. Okay. If there are no more questions, I will entertain a motion to close the public comment part of the hearing.
I move to close the public comment part of the proposed budget amendment hearing.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public comment part of the proposed budget amendments hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. The public comment part of the hearing is closed. Are we ready to vote? I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the supplemental budget for the 2025-2026 biennial.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing a supplemental budget for the 2025-2026 biennium. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. None heard. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, we still have an MRC meeting. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
We're on time though.
Are we? Oh, we are. Okay. We're 5 minutes ahead because we didn't take a break. Council reports. Anybody get council reports you want to give today as opposed to holding till July 7?
Not necessarily. I got the hit. Actually, I just wanted to, City Manager Sago, about the International City of Peace.
Sure.
If we can bring that up, just to give the final okay, so we can send it
Yep.
off to them, they can get that going. at
Thank
the
you,
Rotary.
Councilor Kosarbati. Last year, gosh, it's almost been about a year, you guys received a presentation from the Rotary about their desire to apply for Milwaukie to be named an International City of Peace. You indicated your support. They are about to submit their application. They are looking for a little statement from the city, which I'd be happy to provide. I feel like I got the direction from council to move in this direction. But Councilor Kosarbati and I are Rotary members, so we are sort of their key points of contact. We just wanted to let you guys know that. And if you have any concerns or questions, please let us know.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Mr. Potts, if you're watching. It should be on its way shortly to you. And then I don't have a council report, but I would like to discuss something, unless somebody has a council report.
Well, I just wanted to quickly, I'm not giving a full council report, but back in 2022 or 2023, the council did a resolution on flavored tobacco. Some of you will remember, 23, yeah. It didn't go anywhere with the county. There is another movement afoot led by Oregon City and a few other cities to try and push the county again and potentially to do city ordinances on flavored tobacco. So I just wanted to highlight for you guys that that will be probably coming in the next month or two. That conversation is back.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So it's not a council report, I mean, consider this an opportunity to clarify. But I know that the 29th Avenue had a quote unquote, I guess block party is what they called it, in celebration of the, finally, the completion of the stuff that was supposed to be done and other stuff that was advocated for by Council President to get done as well. I don't know how many of us saw, but there was a flyer that was circulated that was passed out by our Council President. And within that flyer, there were some concerns that I had specifically about the content of that flyer. The flyer starts off by saying Safe Streets is a pilot program that as Council President you launched. And I have an issue with that because A, I don't remember a separate Safe Streets pilot program. From what I understand, we have a spot program and we have SAFE. And what we discussed at our work session, we chose the option 2 to continue to fund SAFE. It wasn't a discussion on creating a separate program. Because our current SAFE program, and please, City Manager Sager, please stop me if I'm wrong on any of this, or any one of you, please interrupt me. But the purpose of that discussion was primarily because we decided that we weren't taking a third tranche of debt for SAFE. So it was either A, the option 1 was to just basically have SAFE be a maintenance program, with a very, keeping it the same, but it would just be going to maintenance. Option 2 was more projects, but they were smaller scale projects. And then option 3 was continue to do the bigger scale projects. We all chose option 4, and that was the direction that we decided to move in. So I'm curious, I want some clarity. What pilot program did you launch? When did you launch it? And how did you launch it without 4 other councilors voting for it? The other issue was some of the maps that you had that had about 5 years out of projects, and in pink was shaded additional projects. My issue with this is that we've only budgeted for the first 2 maps that you put, 26, 27. The other things can change. And I feel like putting stuff out there like that, A, misguides the public because they think that this is stuff that's slam dunk and that's what they're gonna expect. And B, misrepresents exactly how we came to this proposal, right? So I want to give you an opportunity to clarify, A, again, what is this side pilot program? Or is it even exist? Or are you talking about the same thing that we already have? Or what is this and where did this come from? And how do us and staff not know about it?
Yeah, happy to jump in. I think first I want to say my wording definitely could have been clearer there. That was a memo that I had put together back in, I think, November after the SAFE project or the SPOT project on 29th got approved. And I wanted to be able to connect the work that was happening on 29th to streets that we could see improvements on in the upcoming years across the city, because I think 29th is a good model for what we're seeing going forward. And in the discussion in PSAC, there was a lot of discussion about this being a pilot. So I definitely should have clarified the words there. I also, in the large text of the flyer, I say this is a part of a 5-year rollout plan that I'll continue to champion with the 2026 and 2027 project plans already approved. Granted, how many people are going to read 5 paragraphs of text? I should have done a clear visual cue to show approved, not approved, just to make it very clear. To talk a little bit about where this is coming from, when I was serving as our representative on the TSPAC, as we were defining a 20-year fiscally constrained list, it became clear that large capital projects were not going to be able to build a fully complete bike and pedestrian network. And so we started to talk about, okay, what does it look like? How do we build a complete network? And started to talk about this idea of, can we do cheaper paint and post interventions that can, for some time being, kind of fill the gaps? I talked with Emma a little bit about how best to bring this forward, and in July brought forward to council a request that we build into our next CIP, paint and post project list, creating a city-led project that's something new that we've not done before, something that really is cheap, small interventions that is spread out as far as we can stretch those dollars. And we all voted for that to go into our next CIP. And I think it's something that we all should celebrate because it's been baked into our CIP. It's on page 257 of our budget as a special call out in the CIP. And I think it's going to go a long way towards making our city more safe, walkable, bikeable in our neighborhoods. You hear from people on 29th. That was a SPOT project, but it's a model for what we're seeing in the Safe Streets Enhancement Fund. I think they're really excited about that there, and seeing other neighborhoods get to experience that is going to be really exciting. And at that 29th event, the reason I printed the flyer a little last minute was I was like, okay, I want to have people who come by this block party see the larger vision. I recognize the content on the flyer is stuff that I'm putting forward. The 2-year vision is something that we've all voted on and put forward. Anything past that is something that I want to advocate for in future budget cycles, things for us to consider in the future. And I definitely think that I could do a better job visually representing that or articulating that and fixing the verbiage in the sheet. And I've gone through and fixed that. So whenever in the future I print it out again, we'll have a better notation there. So the flyer's a little bit more clear. But also any clarification.
Yeah, well, I mean,
is probably-
again, the first sentence on the first page is Safe Streets is a pilot program. So I'm trying to figure out, when did we come up with this pilot program? What pilot program is that? And you said you launched it. Wasn't it something we all voted on? And if it's something, and the other issue is, if you're gonna go to, you know, a block party or a celebration like that, and you know you're gonna pass out flyers, if you're doing it to support your own agenda or goals, then I can see why you did it the way you did. But if you're doing it to celebrate the council and your colleagues and staff and the work they did, why wouldn't you run that by all of us to say, are you guys cool with this? If I put this out there, because I'm going to the party, because yeah, you were the TSP rep, but you were the representative of the council, not the representative of yourself. So I'm still trying to, I'm having a hard time placing this pilot program. And City Manager Emma, or City Manager said, can you explain my explanation of the tranche and the options?
Yep.
Did that create a separate pilot program?
Thanks for the question, Counselor, and Council President, thank you also. I think this is an issue maybe of semantics or word choice. I would personally probably not call it a pilot program. I don't believe we've had direction to create a program, but I do believe that Council President in his position as our TSPAC rep, but also just as a member of the five-body council, has definitely been a strong advocate for, I think it started out as sort of being called greenway placemaking, which was a topic you'd put on the agenda a few times. And then definitely as we work towards that work session that you did accurately represent, Councilor Consorbati, where we had three options, you know, just cover the costs, that's option A. Option C was third tranche, and option B was, we even have a diagram. There was two components then of the SAFE program. There was the Safe Spot program and the Safe Streets Enhancement program. I believe, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Council President, but I believe what your flyer probably was referring to was the Safe Street Enhancement side of that, and your desire that the Spot project on 29th serve as a pilot or as a example of what we could do in the Safe Street Enhancement. Again, I do appreciate your clarification on the language. I think staff would also appreciate that I'll use consistent language that's consistent with what's in our CIP and with what council voted on. But there's truth in what you're both sharing, and I think there's just a great opportunity for just improving clarity for the public that folks know what we're moving forward with. And in our CIP is, again, that within the SAFE umbrella, our SAFE fund funds the SPOT program and Safe Street Enhancements.
And that is, there's only two programs. There's not three.
I
right?
would frankly call it one program with two sub-programs.
Right, so SAFE wasn't something.
SAFE
has been around for a
predates
long
all
time.
of this. SAFE was established 10 years ago when you implemented the SAFE utility fee, which has funded many capital improvement projects, will continue to fund capital improvement projects. And then through these kind of two new sub-programs is the next sort of chapter, I would say, in the SAFE story.
So, and I appreciate that, because words do matter. Words matter completely, because let's just, you know, call it out how it is. There's a campaign this year. We all know that. Like, it's not private, it's public record. So what I hope we would do, knowing that there's a campaign, is that we would maintain respect for our fellow colleagues and for staff, and not convolute the campaign promotion with promoting what we've done on council together. Because those two can get very, like, when you read that flyer, it looks like you did all this, and it comes off as, you say 29th is our first Safe Street. So that makes it sound like, just reading it, that 29th was completed because of a pilot program that you launched on your own as council president, which is completely not true. But it sounds really good if you're running for an office. So I just hope that we may not agree, but I hope that we maintain that decorum and we don't let the two convolute, because right now it's very cloudy. Like, I'm trying to determine, did you go there with the intent to promote yourself? Or did you go there with the intent to promote what we all did together with staff?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about campaigns on the dais. I can say the Safe Street Enhancement Program is a program that I conceptualized and advocated for. It's something that we all voted on. We are a legislative body and we do things. It takes the majority of any of us to do any action. And so I think all of you can go out and talk about the exciting stuff that we've been able to pass with the Safe Street Enhancement Program. I'm really proud of this is a program that I conceptualized and brought forward to council, and I'm excited to see that it's passed. And I'm trying to reflect that in the one pager that I put together. I'm also putting forward a future vision for the program that's separate from something that we all have officially voted on. We haven't determined a 5-year plan for what the Safe Street Improvement Enhancement Program can actually look like. And I don't want to advocate for a program that we all 5 haven't collectively done, but I want to be able to engage community members around a future vision of what this program might entail, especially because I see 29th as really the start of an exciting new potential way to do improvements.
Absolutely. And I appreciate all of your advocacy. And I know that you were a very strong advocate in transportation, because when the post was made about 29th, I was sure to include you and Jacob Sherman, who has done a lot of advocacy and work on it too. But and I appreciate everything that you've done on advocacy. It's just again, when we blur the lines, because earlier when we talked about, the affordability goal, I could have sat there and said, I did this, I launched that, but it's not really how it works, right? Like we're a body, like you said, that has to work together. And whether something gets done or not is not something that one of us alone could take credit for. I happened to go to Wichita Center and brought to council that they needed money. Council agreed to send them $75,000 for their rental assistance. I didn't go out there and parade and say, hey, I did this, I got them. No, we did it, right? So that's where I just get concerned, because it slants the truth a little bit. And I worry about misinformation getting out there, because there's already so much out there, and there's no need to twist it. Like, there's really no need to do that. We might think it's semantics, but those are voters out there, and they read things differently. So I just want to have a little bit more conscious, be more conscious and respectful to our colleagues and to staff and to the residents who are going to read that and most likely take it as what it is, as truth for what they read. They rely on us. They trust the information we tell them. And if we come out telling them anything in the slightest that's a slant, to me, that's a disservice.
Can I ask a couple clarifying questions? So I will go back and look at July 2025 packets to see what exactly we agreed with. But you also mentioned a November 2025 memo. You said you wrote a memo in November?
This is the flyer that I wrote.
Oh.
Yep. I wrote this flyer in November,
Oh,
put a version of this flyer at all of my the town halls after our budget clearly had the CIP projects in it. And then I thought this would be a good flyer to bring to talk about the future improvements.
Well, I appreciate you raising that concern, Councilor Khosrowbadi. Other topics?
And thank you, Council President, for clarifying. I appreciate it.
Okay. We do still have, you look like you want to say something?
Oh, do I? I just want to say to all of you, I think things are getting very difficult. They're going to get even more difficult. We're in an election season, and I'm going to try to keep my focus on why I'm here, which is to try and move good work forward for all of the residents of Milwaukie. And I'm not saying that because I think that you differ from that goal. I'm saying that because I think that as I've gotten to know each and every one of you, we all share that, and at a core level. So I just, it's like this, it's a very, very uncomfortable process to run an election campaign where you need to distinguish things that you have done as a candidate and things that that you aspire to do in a particular office, but then reconcile that with the relationships that we've all built by working together here over the past several years. And I really value those relationships. So I just want to recognize how hard that is. And it's probably going to get more difficult, but I appreciate both of you having this conversation, because I think that, you know, we are probably not the only ones asking some of these questions. I mean, undoubtedly over the next few months, there's going to be a lot of conversation in our community about, you know, who believes this and who did this. And I think we just owe it to everyone to make sure that our communication is very clear, that we are highlighting and celebrating the great work that we are all doing together, but then we also leave space to identify the things that we believe and that are true to our personal values, and why we want people to, you know, continue to allow us to sit in these seats. So I just, I don't know. I always feel like I have the kumbaya like statement at the end, and I'm really sorry. That's not why I push this stupid button, but I really, really value working with every single one of you. And it's because of conversations like this and how vulnerable this is. And neither one of you had to engage in this conversation at all, but you chose to. So I just really value working with all of you, especially in moments like this.
Thank you, Counselor Stavengard. If no more council reports, we do still have an MRC meeting, so,
I move to adjourn the regular meeting.
okay, I have to read the announcement first. Immediately following the regular session meeting, the city council will convene as the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission. If you would like to stay for that meeting, please stay where you are here at City Hall or on the Zoom webinar. The MRC will meet here in chambers and on the same Zoom session. All right, now, Councilor Massey.
I move to adjourn the regular session.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the regular session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The regular session is adjourned.
We got another hour, man.
Early leaver.
I call the Redevelopment Commission meeting to order. This meeting is being conducted by video conference. This meeting is being conducted in person at City Hall and video conference. The public may participate in this meeting by coming to City Hall, joining the Zoom webinar, or watching on the city's YouTube channel. I think I can probably forego the rest of this script because nobody is watching on the city's YouTube channel anymore, or nobody's watching on Zoom anymore. Okay. Is there any discussion about the June 2nd, 2026 Commission minutes? If not, I will entertain a
I move
motion.
to approve the June 2nd, 2026 Redevelopment Commission meeting minutes.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the June 2nd, 2026 Redevelopment Commission meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The minutes are approved. And then we have a resolution to make appointments, reappointments.
Thank you, Chair Beatty. I think the agenda title says it all. It's a resolution to make appointments to the MRCCAC as nominated by the interview panels that were held back in May.
And thank you, City Recorder, for keeping us honest and moving this to this meeting since it was improperly noticed.
We didn't want to end this meeting too soon.
So I will note, these are all actually reappointments. The committee did interview a young person who is, I think, being identified as an alternate for any openings that might occur this year, but we didn't actually appoint any new members because everyone wanted to re-up. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resolution making appointments to the MRCCAC.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution making appointments to the MRCCAC. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. The appointments are approved. Anything else you'd like to say about the MRCCAC? No. Nope. Okay. If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the commission meeting.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the commission meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. The commission meeting is adjourned.